Gaming news today is all about Bungie and Marathon and Destiny. It's all interrelated. If you missed it, the pre-orders went live yesterday, and obviously everybody is weighing in on what this means. I was monitoring the various charts and seeing where it was landing, how it was climbing or not climbing the pre-order charts. We're also looking at how often it's been followed or wishlisted on Steam. I think all of these numbers actually paint a larger picture. We do need to consider that this is a long-standing game franchise company and they're giving you incentives in Destiny. We're going to be talking about that here in just a moment. Probably going to be a pretty lively debate. I have not been shy about saying that I think the game looks better and it looks like people could have fun with it. My concern has been longevity and ongoing re-engagement. That is the single biggest challenge of any live service game. Chris Dring echoed this. He basically is super into games business and interviewing developers, and he said the same thing, basically, that like, listen, getting a lot of people into your game is great. Bungie certainly has a very large audience who's going to be there, almost moment one, day one. The issue and the real question is, can you keep people coming back long term? That is the true test of a live service game. So we're going to be looking at all of that. We're going to be having a back and forth and a discussion. I'm going to give you the larger picture on the numbers because there is a strange divide between where it's landing on pre-orders on Steam and how many people are actually wishlisting it or following it or doing what you typically see for popular games on Steam. So if you're watching this later, make sure you're hitting like and subscribe. If you've never done a membership before on YouTube, that is how I do this full time. So if you enjoy this content on a regular basis, even if you're not here live and you just listen to the shows later, that really does help me out. And we continue to need to see that membership climb because that is something that keeps this channel going. So consider pressing join, and for $5 a month, you can support the channel as well as get into our members only Discord. So if you can't do that, totally understandable. You may get a gifted membership. We do a lot of gifting here, and you can hit the like button and subscribe. That really helps as well. So let's get into this because there's a lot to discuss and there is a lot to say. Marathon continues to push for a tide change in the public's opinion, and pre-orders are now live. The question is, are they pulling it off? Well, the pre-orders are off to a strong start. It got so high as in North America, it was in the top 5 pre-order games on Steam. In global, it was actually in top 10. Now, it didn't hold these positions for very long, and I actually didn't find this to be all that surprising. Bungie has been around for a very long time. Destiny has been around for over a decade, and they are offering you incentives in the game of Destiny for pre-ordering this. And then there's obviously the Marathon pre-orders as well. I don't really think this is the question of success. People are tending to jump to that conclusion, which you might want to check just how high the game is ranking with where it is wishlisted on Steam. There is a bit of a divide. It also was climbing the PlayStation pre-orders as well. And I think the real question is, does this prove my theory wrong? I had been saying that the reach of the game and that interest had lowered. If you looked at the YouTube videos and the overall response, it seemed that the public had sort of moved on from paying attention to this, and there was still this audience that was invested in wanting to see the game be successful, and I happen to think that's most of the people pre-ordering it right now. It's hard to say until we see hard numbers or until we see where the player numbers are 1 month after the game's launch. I think that really is the true test. Destiny's a long-standing game, Bungie's a long-standing studio, and honestly, climbing charts right now for pre-orders isn't that impressive given that you're competing with basically nothing. There were multiple times throughout the day that Warframe was surpassing it on Steam, and that's a game that's been around for a very long time. This is just purely based off of revenue, so microtransactions and what have you. And they're already making moves with Destiny to make sure that these games don't step on each other. It has been reported by Forbes that the latest Destiny content will be delayed to make room for Marathon. Now, I think this is a bit of a lose-lose situation. If you don't delay the Destiny content, well then, a lot of your audience that's paying attention to both games might feel like they'll just play Destiny instead. They've already got all that sunk cost, and this game does cost money. Marathon is $40. That also means that Marathon could pull from Destiny. There's two sides to this coin. It's a new game. It's the new hotness. People haven't been too thrilled with PvP in Destiny for a while, and a lot of the PvP audience might just basically walk away from any new content in Destiny if it's competing with Marathon. But I think this creates a double-edged blade. Using Destiny 2, I think, cuts both ways. They are offering incentives to the Destiny audience to pre-order Marathon, basically giving you gear inside of Destiny for pre-ordering Marathon. This could certainly help with your launch numbers. Destiny has been around for a very long time, and that audience, although it is somewhat shrinking in daily and monthly active users, it's still a very large audience that pays attention to the game and pays attention to Bungie. So you could certainly boost your launch numbers as well as your pre-order numbers by doing this, but what happens when that new Destiny content does finally hit? It could create a player base seesaw. Anytime Marathon does something, anytime Destiny does something, they'll sort of start borrowing from each other. Now this reminds me of Gearbox back when they refused to make Borderlands 3. It's clear that Bungie doesn't want to make Destiny 3, even though it feels like that is an inevitable choice given how big they are and how much money they're going to need to generate to justify their operational costs, and I don't think Marathon's going to generate enough money to do that. Just like Borderlands, it sort of haunted Gearbox, and then eventually they had to make it. Destiny seemingly is haunting Bungie. Marathon is very Destiny adjacent. You didn't make a big departure game, so both of these games will perpetually pull from each other long term. If a Destiny 3 announcement happens, if a game update comes to Destiny 2 or some big huge thing that they decide to do, well, that's going to pull from any player base that you built Marathon with that likes Destiny more or even has a history with Destiny. What this does is it makes me ask a very interesting question that might not be crossing anybody's minds. What about what they told Naughty Dog? Naughty Dog was essentially told by Bungie that they would have to become a live service studio in order to support The Last of Us Online or The Last of Us Factions. Well, how can you tell that to Naughty Dog and then essentially sign up to be running 2 live service games? What about when Pete Parsons said that they put the company into the red because they spun up all these incubation projects and it pulled from Destiny 2? Are they not setting themselves up for a tug of war within the company with respect to bandwidth, with respect to allocation of resources, and which game is making more money and which game isn't? What about the fears outlined by IGN all that time ago, where it was rumored at the company that people were scared, the leadership just wanted to shove Marathon out the door, and once it was launched, they were going to walk, leaving the company somewhat rudderless, and whoever was left in charge could figure out what they were going to do with Marathon long term. This really makes everything I've said about this game not really change one iota. Yes, it looks better. Yes, they took a year and they have listened to the community. All those things are very important. But we have to remember that just 1 year ago, they basically had a minimum viable product, an alpha, as it were, and a year of development isn't that much time in the grand scheme of things. I still see this game lacking staying power. If they spent the last year doing a good bit of their time making sure that the game was up to snuff and it was what players wanted, felt better, looked better, how much time was really spent thinking about longevity? How much time was spent thinking about longevity and content beyond and surviving and maintaining a player base if leadership is basically saying we're out of here as soon as this thing gets out the door? I still feel like this game will feel, to those that play it, very derivative. It's going to feel too adjacent to existing games. The aspect of just not wanting to call the game a hero shooter is an exact example of that. Basically, people that like the game were doing podcasts, YouTube videos. I watched a lot of content about Marathon, and they kept accidentally referring to them as characters and heroes, and referring to abilities as like an ult or an ultimate, which is something that is part and parcel to a hero shooter. They even moved away from calling them characters to calling them classes and then renamed a bunch of them to remove some of that personality from their identity, but that doesn't remove the actual execution of gameplay. Many of the abilities showcased in this runner's video running behind me look extremely similar to things that can be done in Apex Legends. That's what really will happen here, I think. When the rubber meets the road and players are logged in and playing, the experience will matter more than whatever terms you came up with or whatever classifications you decided to use. You can split hairs all you want. At the end of the day, the execution and the experience of this game is what's going to sell it long term. It can be fun for a couple of days. It can become fun for a couple of weeks. But if you can't get people to come back over the long haul, the game will not survive. We've seen this happen time and time again with live service games. Selling well is not the true test. Ongoing engagement is the only test of a live service game. It is the one that I do not see this game doing well with, but I'm open to being wrong about this. Many were quick to say, hey, it's selling well, it's climbing the pre-order charts. Day one in January against virtually nothing as a long-standing company with a lot of incentives in an existing very large game, I would expect it to do well with pre-orders on that day, given all those circumstances. But hey, I could be wrong. this thing could be climbing the charts because people can't wait to play it. I'm not really been compelled about that. As far as I can tell, this game is built to be fun, but it doesn't seem like to me that it's built to last. But those are just my thoughts, and I'd love to hear your thoughts. Leave a comment below, or make sure you're here for those live stream discussions, which we are going to do right now. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Make sure you guys are hitting the like button. I appreciate you so much being here. I know this will probably be a lively discussion. I really do think one of the biggest disparities that you guys need to see is one that I found incredibly interesting this morning, and this was one that Paul put into the Discord. This is where the game sits as far as top sellers, right? Oh, wow, it's doing very well. It's climbing the charts on Steam with pre-orders, okay? It's 75th on wish list, 97 in activity. Now, it only has 40,000 people following it. Now, when Paul crunched the numbers on this earlier and was looking at the various ways that games could climb the individual charts and standings on Steam, he found the following. He said, it's not even a top 1,000 game for following. That starts around 70,000. They basically need the game to go viral, he said. This is the quarantine game beside it. So if you've seen that quarantine game quite a bit, that is in the top 1,000. Just the top 1,000, mind you. We're not talking about top 10, top 20, top 100. We're talking about the top 1,000 games that have like a following on Steam. The quarantine game is there with 76,000. So there is a big disparity between the people that were wishlisting this, following this, and paying attention to this, and the fact that it's climbing the pre-order charts on Steam. That to me tells me what you have is a bunch of people that just jumped on the game yesterday because they're either already interested or they're a Destiny player. The real test is going to be over the next couple of days, over the next couple of weeks. Will it maintain a strong standing on those pre-order charts, as well as those player-based numbers day one and then month one? That, I think, is the issue. You can follow games on Steam. Yeah, it's a common thing that people do. Anytime I use that Steam database, it kind of shows you where a game's standing. And anytime a game will, like, show up at a showcase or something, there's, like, a little chart. You'll just see that chart skyrocket with, like, following, wish listing, things like that. So it's essentially a way for a game to, you know, garner an audience and people that are interested in your updates and things before it actually comes out. So make sure you guys are hitting the like button. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. I appreciate you being here. We need 30 more likes for the first 100 likes. I've made my position on this known, and I've got a lot of disagreement, but I've got people already kind of starting the day here. Give me 1 second. Oops, I forgot to open this. Give me just 1 second here, and then I'll be back. There we go. I got to get this tool open. I got to keep this thing open on the regular. And we got a Prime from Nova Hands, 39 months over there on Purple, and then David Hudat with 23 months and a Member Plus over there on YouTube. Thank you so much for doing that. Many of the abilities described in the Shell video sounded really frustrating to play against, more than they sounded fun to play with. Bumble Pants, that was another thing that I tried to bring up to people. It was like, listen, that's one of the reasons I don't think this game has a lot of legs. I don't think it has a lot of longevity, and that's one of the reasons. They're doing the very thing that makes people get annoyed with hero shooters or walk away from a PvP game like stasis in Destiny. The minute you disrupt the player's ability to move, it can be very frustrating. So they're putting abilities in the game that I think won't just be frustrating to play with. It'll lead to metagaming. It'll lead to all those guide videos. It'll lead to people basically playing the game in that particular way that I think ends up being somewhat cannibalistic. It ends up driving players away from the game. So it doing well. I'll show you where it's landing right now. Let's see. Steam top selling. If we go to this top sellers charts on Steam, all right, there's two charts that you want to look at. Okay, this first one is just in the United States. It tends to do better in the United States, so it's maintaining top 5. It's been jockeying for position with Warframe, okay, which is interesting, the fact that it's there. It was also keeping company with Quarantine Zone, all right, which that I think is pretty telling given Quarantine Zone's actual total sales as well as player-based numbers. Now, when you go global, it slips quite a bit. It slips down to 12, and now it's hanging out with like Avatar Frontiers of Pandora. Again, I think perspective is very helpful here, okay? If you want this game to have longevity, you got to have a really, really strong start. And I don't know if selling well in America in January against virtually nothing is all that impressive. I think people are sort of throwing confetti in the air a little too early. I'm not trying to say it's not good. I'm saying it might not be as impressive as people are making. And a 5-bomb comes in from Mr. Rope over there on purple and gets us to 33. I appreciate that very, very much. One of those went to probably over 9,000. Is he still around? He was always really nice to me. I don't know if he's still around or watches the show or what. I think the hero shooter argument is a straw man argument to distract from the overall argument that the game is on shaky ground. Wait, so Jermaine, expand on that. That's interesting to me. So you think people are debating about whether it is or isn't a hero shooter to distract? Like, is that fair pushback? Yeah, I think perspective here is really helpful. I mean, it is January 19th and 20th. Like, there's nothing really to compete against on the sales charts. The fact on Steam that it's in similar position to games that have been out for a while, it's like, I don't know, y'all. I wouldn't be throwing confetti in the air just yet. It's landing in the hemisphere of games that have been out for a while. 9,000 still around? Okay, cool. I don't know what's worse, fighting against someone who freezes me or someone who can see me through the wall. Celebrating early? What Bungie has never done that with champagne or anything. I pre-ordered Marathon through Green Man Gaming, and though I have some strong opinions on the game, I'm still cautiously optimistic that they could pull something off. Here's what I'll say about those pre-ordering it, okay? I think they get their money's worth. I do. I think they get their money's worth. I think for $40, they're going to get stuff in Destiny. They're going to get cool stuff in the game. I think they'll be able to play this game for the first couple of weeks and have a good time. I don't think they're going to be like, oh, I got ripped off. If you spend $40 and you think this thing's going to be thriving 6 months from now, I would be a little less. I'd be more cautious. I'd be a little bit more cautious about that. I think for $40 you could get your money's worth. This isn't going to be Concord. The people that were saying that, I think, were really overstating their case. Now, High Guard looks like it's going to be another Concord. That's going to be a crash and burn if we've ever seen one. I don't think Marathon's going to crash and burn. I think you could get your $40 worth out of it. I think you could. I think 6 months from now we're going to be saying, yeah, Lono and a lot of the other people were right. This game just doesn't have the legs. It just doesn't. There's too many problems at Bungie also. That's a whole other aspect of this that I don't think anybody's considering. They've had so many issues and layoffs and morale problems and fears about this game just getting shoved out the door so leadership could leave. I'm like, that doesn't sound like a place for their best work to thrive. At least High Guard is free. It's true. It's true. I think people that were saying that this was going to be Concord 2.0 were overstating their case. That was never my position. My position was always, it doesn't look like it has longevity baked in. It seems like such a minimum viable product. You could call it cope. Whether or not it's a hero shooter, this game just has too steep of a hill to climb. You guys must be on Eastern time. I barely started work at 6 a.m. and you guys are already going. Yo, that's right. That's right. I'm East Coast. I'd like to go earlier, but I just can't. I've got a pretty good regiment now in the morning. Riding the bike, reading the word, getting ready for the day. You know what I mean? Like, I can't really go live any earlier than 9 a.m. Eastern. I don't see it going the distance. Personally, I think it falls off, says Jonathan. I don't play these games, so I have no dog in the race. Now, I expected some people to come in here. Nice to see you back on Twitch. We've been back on Twitch since April of last year, so tell your friends, get them all to come back, hit follow, and do their primes or their subs over here, man. We're trying to rebuild on Twitch. We thought we couldn't really do both. We took a break for like a week, and it really hurt us over there. So let everybody know we've been back multi-streaming for, I don't know what, couple weeks now. Well, we've been back since April, but we took like a week off. Greetings from LA. Okay, you're all the way out there. Lono, a lot of people who are up Bungie's but expect Marathon to be more hardcore version of the social zeitgeist game that Ark has become. Problem is, no one uses procs in Marathon due to the fast TTK. That was the other thing that I thought was really interesting. Like, people kept telling me why is it such a big deal that it's a PvP game? And I'm like, it's not that it's a PvP game. It's that PvP is heavily saturated, and this looks like a game where you're just going to go and get kills and get out. And I just think that runs out of gas really quick. I don't think there's a lot of staying power there. And people are like, well, the biggest games are PvP. Yes, they also completely trampled on so many other doe-eyed PvP games that wanted to be successful. Yo, Silver Shadow, thanks for using your Prime. If you guys have a Prime over there on Purple Man, use it. We appreciate the support. Marathon Special Edition does look nice, but 170 with no games, pretty steep. The pre-order numbers shock me. I'm glad, but I wonder how many have played it. It's a hard game. The pre-order numbers don't shock me. It's not competing with almost anything right now, and it's a Bungie game. Like, getting in the top 5 in the U.S., and right now it's in 13th place globally on Steam for pre-orders. Again, I just think perspective is helpful. Homie, it's hanging out with Avatar Frontiers of Pandora globally. Okay? This is Bungie's next big game. Now, where do you think Destiny 3 would be? Seriously. This is Bungie's next big game, y'all. They announced... I don't think people are seeing this for what it is. I think people are throwing confetti in the air and they think, yep, we were right. Marathon's crushing it. Are you sure about that? This is Bungie, makers of Halo, makers of Destiny. This is their next big game, and their pre-orders have them landing after almost a full day in 13th place globally on Steam. Do you honestly think this is what they're hoping for? Yeah, top 3. Bet. Whatever's on the next paycheck, bet it. If it was Destiny 3 globally, it would be in the top 3 pre-ordered on Steam right now. It'd have skyrocketed instantly. I don't think it's impressive. I really don't. I think people are getting way ahead of themselves. It's January. It's competing with nothing. Homies, it's competing with nothing right now. There's nothing that you can really pre-order or spend your money on. It's not even outranking Resident Evil on PlayStation. Resident Evil pre-orders have been up for a while. It's not even outranking Resident Evil 9 on PlayStation for pre-orders. Resident Evil 9. Big franchise, big long-standing franchise. How many lifetime sales? Let's see. RE8 lifetime sales. Resident Evil Village has sold over 12 million copies as of late 2025. So that's a franchise that you're competing with. That's a pretty good sized franchise. But you've been able to pre-order Resident Evil for how long now? I'm just here to tell you. It's number 2 on the PlayStation Store? Yeah. That's what I'm saying, though. It's competing with nothing, and it can't even really take the first spot. On Steam as well. It's competing with nothing, and it can't even get top 5 globally, top 3 globally. To be fair, the game is out in a month. That's true. So there's definitely some momentum and inertia behind Resident Evil 9 pre-orders. Resident Evil 9 must be close to double the price. Another factor. This is a $40 pre-order, y'all. I'm just telling y'all to slow down. I'm just telling y'all to slow down. I really do think the game can have a nice, strong start. People are going to have fun with it. But if you think that means that the discussion's over and this game's good to go and it's going to last, I just don't know. RE9's a massive game, to be fair, for sure. But Bungie, man, I mean, I don't know. Maybe they don't have the pull they once did, but there was a time where Bungie does anything and it goes viral and takes over. If High Guard pops off, that'd be horrible for Marathon. That ain't gonna happen. Alex Gaming says people are waiting for the free beta. I could see a lot of people not pre-ordering, yeah, because there's a free beta. Sure. You said it was DOA a few months ago. Now you're backtracking. How am I backtracking? My position hasn't changed at all. I said that it didn't have legs. It doesn't have longevity. I'm saying the exact same thing today. I said it's a Bungie game. I said they're probably hoping to make their money back, recoup cost. They'll have people that buy the game no matter what because they're Bungie fans. I said I think they'll have a bigger fan base than like Concord did. bigger fan base than High Guard, for Pete's sakes. I don't think it makes it. I cited games like X-Defiant. X-Defiant had a killer start. People were bragging about that game's player base numbers. And where is that game now? I kept drawing parallels to games like that. I never once said this was Concord 2.0. Now, I was willing to say that High Guard looked like Concord 2.0. I don't think I ever said this game was DOA. Now, last year, when they showed it, I said, this thing's cooked if they ship this. I said, they're going to have to delay this, and they did. Now, I got this part wrong. I said, I think they're just going to quietly cancel this. This is a bit of a disaster. It's a minimum viable product. I said, I don't think 1 year is long enough time to really put everything back together again. I said the same thing this morning. You've got to remember, they showed us an alpha 1 year ago. A year's time is not much in the development world. Euler said they should pull the plug. Yeah, I stand by that. I think they should have pulled the plug. I don't think this was a good idea. I don't think it was a good idea for Bungie's longevity. I don't think it's a good idea for PlayStation's live service game optics. I don't. I think they should pull the plug on Fair Games as well. I said that they should have pulled the plug on Concord. The minute we saw Concord, I was like, this is a disaster. What are we doing here? I think if PlayStation wants to have successful live service games, they're going to have to re-earn confidence. Helldivers kind of did that. They make a ton of money off of MLB The Show and Gran Turismo. They're going to make good money off Marvel Toko and Fighting Souls. I don't think they should have shipped this. I think this is a bad idea. I think they're still shipping a minimum viable product. I don't think a year's time is enough. Knowing that the snail's pace that Bungie moves, how they update their own game and how they build and how they change things, I really don't think this is a good idea. I think at the end of the day, we're going to turn around and say, man, they wasted an awful lot of time to ship something that didn't last. That's been my prediction for the longest. It's like, it doesn't, I've always said, I said this, when did we cover this? Was it last week? I said the number one concern, and I've got a video on the channel right now that you can go watch that's like a week old. I said, it's re-engagement. Before pre-order numbers hit, before pre-orders went live, I said the issue is not whether or not they can get people to buy the game and play it day one. I believe they can do that because they're Bungie, and they've been marketing the game quite a bit. That's not the question. The question's re-engagement. The question's always re-engagement for a live service game. Always. It is. With all due respect, I think that you're absolutely wrong. That's fine. You don't have to agree with me. It's been my position since the beginning that one of the biggest mistakes that PlayStation can make in live service, after having their single-player studios try to make live service games, I think that was a terrible idea. They had like Blue Point making something and Bend making something. I don't think you should have your single-player studios making live service games. The second thing you can do that's like one of the biggest mistakes is just do something that's derivative. Just do something that like other people are doing. We saw how that went with many games. We saw a lot of BRs try to do it. Didn't work. We saw what happened with Concord, right? Ignore the Portal stuff. Yeah, here's a tweet from... Here you go. Here you go. You think I said it was DOA? This is from January of 1 year ago. This is a year old. I said, my thoughts on Marathon are a bit more nuanced than it is dumb and DOA. Right? I never once had the thought that, like, right here, I said, I've said that I doubt the game will do well. Right? I still doubt that the game will do well. It's been a year. My position hasn't changed. I'm not walking back anything. I've been saying for a while, I don't think the question is whether or not you can sell the game and get people to jump in day one. That's not the question. I never once said it was Concord 2.0. I never once said that it would be DOA. I said I don't think it'll last. It literally looks like a PvP game. Like a meat grinder where you go in, you do the same thing and you get out. It doesn't look like they at all captured the idea of like emergent dynamic extraction gameplay that we see in Ark. Define do well. I don't think it'll do well, as in it's a live service game that won't survive. I don't think it'll survive. I think from the insider information we heard at Bungie and the fear that, like, they're just going to try to get the game out the door and then the leadership's going to leave, I think that's a terrible launching pad for a game like this. You know what I mean? Loyal listener and member, but this conversation was very predictable. I'll check back when Positive Gaming Talks return. Love the show. I mean, homie, it's not an airport. You don't have to announce that you're not going to be here. Like, if you don't like the topic, then that's pretty much standard fare for variety gaming news coverage. And if you're trying to take a little swipe on your way out, maybe stay here and say it with your whole chest. If you think this is predictable because of some, like, bias that you have that I think against Bungie or bias against PvP games, why don't you stay here and act like a man and say it with your chest instead of doing some smarmy swipe on your way out? I have said since the beginning of the conversations about Bungie when PlayStation acquired them that they know what it takes to make live service. They're not the ones that canceled Naughty Dog's game, and I think it's very strange for them to be doing the very same thing that they basically told Naughty Dog not to do. We heard that they were trying to shove the game out, and then they were going to basically have leadership leave. They had leadership change on the project. They had direction change on the project. They showcased an alpha last year and a minimal viable product. And then a year later, we're supposed to believe that all's well, they fix it, and they've got everything figured out beneath the bad morale at the company and Pete Parsons leaving and layoffs that happened that made everybody feel like they were basically working under a knife. But this coverage is predictable. Like, I don't understand why people feel like my commentary on this is somehow slanted when I covered the game for 5 years and I've covered PvP games extensively and professionally shoutcasted them, was hired under contract to professionally shoutcast PvP games. But apparently I don't know enough to speak on Marathon's longevity. What about when I told you guys that Splitgate would come back and not survive, or that, like, X-Defiant would eventually run out of players and that happened, or that Concord was DOA? Like, do all those predictions, well, I just got lucky? I just throw a blindfold on and start making predictions about live service games. I just get lucky. What about when I played the tutorial of Lawbreakers and canceled my trip to go to the capture event because I knew the game was going nowhere? I literally played the tutorial of Lawbreakers, and I emailed the person 20 minutes later and said, I'm not going to be able to make it to the capture event in LA. I canceled the trip. I didn't want to do it because I knew the game was dead. I was like, this game's going nowhere. I'm not going all the way to LA to play a game that's not going to go anywhere. You're not going to put me in your montages talking about the game's good. Like, I've been covering, playing, and making predictions about live service games and PvP games and all these types of games for a very long time. None of this is predictable. What's predictable is the likelihood of a live service game is surviving is low. That's what's predictable. If you look at the pattern in the market, I don't know why anybody would have, like, brazen optimism about a live service game. Why would you have any sort of optimism about a live service game? Lono did, however, be hopeful about Suicide Squad. That is true. I thought I thought they were going to pull it off because they were so passionate about it. I thought Kill the Justice League is going to be good. It's got a shot. And the story I thought was fine, and then they had nothing afterwards. It was just like Anthem. It was like, I don't know. Light Leap with 53 months in a VIP. Let me put it on the board. I think it's hilarious people are trying to get you on backtracking, as if even if you did change your tune, that you aren't allowed to because at one point in time you had a different opinion. Well, you also have to remember, we all thought the same thing last year. So if you want to go back and take comments when we watched the showcase and we all thought, this game's not ready. If you ship this game right now, this thing's going nowhere. This thing's going nowhere. Okay, so Bungie apparently agreed with a lot of us last year. They delayed the game. So if you want to go back to streams and coverage from 2025, where I was saying the same thing everybody else was saying, and then Bungie basically agreed. If you think I was wrong back then why did Bungie delay the game? What's your answer to that? If I was wrong last year when I said this game's in bad shape, this game's not going to do well, this game doesn't have a shot, apparently Bungie agreed because they delayed it. Plenty of people were like, I'm out. I don't want anything to do with that game. That game doesn't look like it's worth a darn. It's a minimum viable product. So they delay it. They get it to look better. And now you're basically like, yep, everybody was wrong last year. Like, what? Like, I don't understand. Empreb says, Lono's batting average on live service has been kind of nuts. Yeah, I swung and missed on Kill the Justice League, but for Pete's sakes, if you pull my baseball collector's card on live service predictions batting average, you know what I mean? To act like I've got some kind of an axe to grind here against this game. How many times have I talked about how good Destiny 3 could be and how much insight Bungie can bring to the table for live service and how I actually still think they're a valuable asset, you know, given the acquisition hasn't gone all that well for PlayStation. Those aren't the things you say if you just have an axe to grind against Bungie. You wouldn't praise them for anything. You wouldn't talk about anything that they could do that could be good. I would just say that they're cooked and they suck and they're terrible. They have cards for that? They should. I think that we should just give the game a chance and let the casuals determine if it's good or not. It doesn't need to be a home run out of the gate. Just need to be able to maintain a decent player base. Secondary Protocol says better. I think it looks the same, but they changed the filter to be less saturated. I recorded lots of footage, and it does look nice. My issues was gameplay-wise. Suicide Squad was kind of fun, but I wish I could get a refund. My wife and I played through it and had a perfectly fine time. And then we got to the end game, and I was like, this is freaking terrible. Like, I thought the initial playthrough that we did was fun. It was just like a knock-around looter. You know, I think Lono has been more than fair to Bungie, all things considered. Yeah, I mean, my hackles get raised when people try to invoke that. Like, they try to invoke this idea that, like, you have a bias against Bungie. And it's like, I can't put pen to paper for the level of anger I feel toward that company and everybody that did me wrong in 2020. My ability to set that aside, you don't get the coverage that, like, the devil in me wants to do. You don't get that coverage. You get what I feel like is pretty measured, pretty fair coverage. I don't let the devil come out, because if I did, he'd never go back in. So, like, I don't cover the game in that way. I don't get vengeful. I don't get spiteful. Maybe I get a little snarky about Christopher Barrett because he frickin' deserves it. But outside of that, I feel like I've been more than fair given what happened. I've stated that you clearly have a PvE live service bias. Nothing wrong with having a bias. But it's not hard to predict that live service games will always struggle with player retention. Your claim that I have a PvE live service bias is hilarious and also incredibly inaccurate. I don't have a PvE live service bias because I'm on record saying numerous times, I don't want a full-time job anymore game. I don't. I've said numerous times, it's why I put Helldivers down. It's why I put Arc Raiders down. I could be grinding my little PvE heart off in Arc Raiders. Do you want to know why I'm not doing it? I actually don't have a PvE live service bias anymore. I have a market analysis prediction that there's more room in the market for PvE live service games than PvP. I base that off of patterns. I base that off of saturation. I base that off of player response. But this continued claim that I have a PvE live service bias, I don't. I don't want another live service game to play. I don't want another Destiny. I don't. Do you see me clamoring to go find some new game to grind? Do you see me doing that? Or do you see me playing single player games? What do you think I'm doing with my game time, Corey? Where am I hanging my hat? Am I trying to make Warframe work, Arc Raiders work, Helldivers work? Am I trying to make any PvE live service game work for me? Because that's what I do. It's the way I'm wired. It's what makes me tick. I could break those systems down, make a ton of content, and do what I used to do. Why am I not doing that? I don't have a PvE live service bias. I'm not looking for a PvE live service game. If I was, there's a handful I could be playing right now and covering. Why am I not doing that? Because I don't want to. If I had a PvE live service bias, I'd be playing some of these games. My analysis of the market is that there is far bigger room right now and more untapped potential for PvE live service games. There is. That's an analysis of the market. That's all I'm saying. I'm looking at the market and I'm saying, listen, PvP is crazy saturated. It is. People have been consistently clamoring for some kind of a Destiny replacement or a Division replacement. I mean, Warframe still maintains a crazy good player base considering how long it's been out. There is room in the market for PvE live service. And then you look at the player trends and the response and the way people play Arc Raiders, and it proves me right. It proves me right. Embark was well aware they were going to have a lot of people boot that game up and want to play it like a PvE game. They were going to want to play it like a looter. And how are people playing Arc Raiders? They're playing it like a looter. They're playing peaceful. It's driving the PvP boys bats. It's driving them bats. That's all I'm saying. If I had a PvE live service bias, as in like, well, that's what I want them to make that game, I'd be playing those games a lot longer than I have. Now, granted, Helldivers we got about 80 hours out of, but it was, we were having a lot of fun. And it didn't really feel like a PvE game. It felt more like a co-op game, like a knock-around co-op game than like a PvE live service game. That's just my experience with it. Magic Dolphin with 29 months. I respect that. Taking a break from Destiny this last year has been refreshing. I never said that you wanted another long-term game. I said that you prefer or favor PvE-focused live service. And you consistently are less interested in PvP-driven live service. No, this is another false statement that I don't agree with. Quit telling me what I think and what I believe and what I feel. It's annoying. It's so annoying. You don't know what I think and you don't know what I feel. So quit claiming to have some kind of jurisdiction or corner market on that. It's not that I'm less interested in PvP or that I favor PvE live service. I just told you what I feel. Quit telling me what I feel. It's so condescending. I don't have a preference for PvE live service. I don't. I think there's more room in the market for PvE live service. You understand the difference? There's an enormous difference between those two things. An enormous difference. Yeah, I'd really prefer and really favor to play PvE live service. No, that's not what I'm looking for right now. Every time I look at one of these looter shooters that are trying to come out and trying to do the Destiny thing and Division thing, I'm like, yeah, that looks fun. But I'm not like, dude, I can't wait to play it. Lono has so much anti-PvP bias, he created a PvP casting show called Split Screen exclusively for the Destiny 2 PvP community to help promote PvP players. Tell him. It's an observation. I'm observing your past behavior and making a conclusion. What, did you just wake up from a coma? You're talking about Lono who played Destiny full time. You're not talking about the guy sitting in front of you right now. Like, you're not talking about the guy sitting here right now. You're not. Creature will come in here and testify. It drives him nuts that I'm like, I don't really ever want to do the live service thing ever again. I don't. He's been trying to niche me down into a game for frickin' 5 years, and I won't do it. I won't do it because I don't want to. I don't have like this bias or preference for PvE live service right now. I have spent more time in the last 4 to 5 years playing single player games or co-op games with my wife. Like, come on, look at what I've done. Look at the history of my gaming, and to sit here and tell me, yeah, your assessment, it's so biased because you just prefer PvE live service games. I'm like, since when? Since when? Look at my play history. Look at the games I cleared. Look at what I've been doing lately. What did I do this year? I played Control, almost 30 hours in Control, Mario Galaxy 1 and 2, High on Life. To 200 hours in Returnal and got my first platinum. But I prefer PvE live service? I think players, and this is where my analysis is not about me. That's why when you make it about me, I get irritated. I'm like, why are you making it about me? I'm analyzing player response and player feedback. If you look at player response and you look at player feedback, I think Arc Raiders is a very, very strong test case to see, man, there's a lot of people that really don't want to do PvP anymore. There's a lot of people. They just want to go and play with the boys and get some stuff done. They just want a new Destiny division thing. Like, they don't want to do this PvP thing. That's me talking about the market and the consumers. And when I'm saying that, I'm looking at all these games that are trying to come out. Fair Games, a competitive heist game? Huh? High Guard and Concord, hero shooters? Huh? I'm like, what are y'all doing? Why would you do that? The market's not receptive to that right now at all. Thank you so much, Feed. I see you in the chat. I need hands-on the open test before triggering a buy. I think a lot of people are going to wait for the beta. I think that's fair. AOZ says, it's like saying you have a self-selection bias where you don't listen to anything and pre-order everything you're interested in. That's a presumption on your behavior, but not true, is it? Yeah, I wouldn't say that. Again, this is not an attack of character. It's an observation. If we're talking about live service, he clearly doesn't want to play a PvP live service. Yo, Medivian with 14 months says, good morning, Lono. Thank you so much. Okay, let me ask you something, Corey. When I shoutcasted Trials of Osiris, was my ability to play call and make predictions about what the teams were going to do, when I predicted that people were going to low card farm, did my bias about like not really wanting to play Trials and never really touching PvP and Destiny, did that affect my analysis in that situation? Because you keep invoking it as if it's affecting my analysis. Did it affect my analysis of Trials? Almost every time they made updates to Trials, I was able to kind of predict what players were going to do. Why? Because I'm not talking about myself. I'm talking about how players are going to react. I read their little update to Trials, and within 60 seconds, it wasn't even 60 seconds, I didn't even get to the bottom of the dadgum tutorial, and I was like, yeah, people are going to low card farm. Yeah, with this structure and this loot incentive and how they're setting this, yeah, people are going to low card farm. They're just going to keep resetting their cards, and that's exactly what people did. Playing and shoutcasting is two different things. Or am I missing something? No, you're not. They are very different things. Is my ability to make predictions about behavior in a game, like the way that I predicted the way things were going to go in Fortnite when they went with spray meta, when they went with like what was the first one? I think it was like the drum gun or whatever. It was basically like the Tommy gun, and what that did to the ability for people to like do like, I don't know. I was doing solo squads. I would go into squad solo and I could wipe squads before spray meta. Now, I was doing a lot of that to shoutcast. I played a lot of Valorant so that I could shoutcast Valorant and understand like map design, terminology, and like the flow of the game. But like, not playing or playing doesn't affect somebody's ability to do analysis of what players are going to do. Day one of Arc Raiders, I told you guys, I said, I believe there are people that will play this game friendly, Operation Friendship, and a bunch of you told me I was an idiot, I was wrong, and I was playing the game the wrong way. Well, what do you think now? What do you think now? Do you think I was wrong about Operation Friendship? You still think I was foolhardy? I don't think I was. X-Cow with the VIP jumping back in. Are we talking about you then or present day? Present day doesn't want to play PvP live service. I didn't want to play PvP live service back then either. I played Fortnite because it was fun and it was an opportunity to get into shoutcasting. I wasn't playing Fortnite because I was like, oh my gosh, I love PvP live service. When I played Valorant, same thing. I was not playing Valorant because I liked PvP live service. I had an agent and I was trying to get into shoutcasting. One of the best ways to shoutcast a game is to play it so you can understand it. So even back then, I wasn't a PvP guy. I never was. XCal gifts a member. Thank you so much. I've never been a PvP guy. And yet I was somehow able to do analysis of those games and shoutcast and tell you what people were going to do in Trials of Osiris before they did it. Now, when I look at Marathon, I haven't said a single thing about what I want or what I was hoping they would do. There are plenty of people doing that. Right? There are plenty of people doing that. Sounds like Operation Friendship takes all the tension out of the extraction game and turns it into a looter shooter. Yeah. It was a social experiment, wasn't it? Customer's always right in matters of taste. If that's how players are playing, why do you care? Let them play that way. You can go play the way you want, and you'll land in places with plenty of tension. Why do you care what somebody else is doing or how they're enjoying? Who cares? You want tension in Arc Raiders? You go right ahead. You go in and shoot the server up. You'll get your tension. It doesn't make any sense to me. Doesn't have to. You're not the only consumer. Doesn't have to make sense to you at all. There are plenty of people playing Arc Raiders right now, spending money, hitting the DAU, MAU numbers for that studio, and they're not playing PvP for a second. It's like, what's it matter to you? And a VIP plus from my man Stonespire gets us to 39. It doesn't have to make sense to you. You want tension? You want some intensity in Arc Raiders? You go right ahead, buddy. You go in there and just start shooting people. You'll get plenty of tension. You'll have plenty of people shooting at you and keeping you on your heels and your toes. A single gifted from Stonespire. He's trying to set up the 10-bomb dunker to 50. Haven't hit a milestone just yet. That's kind of the point. I've stated that you have a preference for PvE games, and you've admitted to that. Why I'm saying it is in chat is bothersome is beyond me. It's bothersome because you're attempting to discredit my argument by making it about my preferences, which is a very, very... It's a sleight of hand form of ad hominem. Like, you're making me cite argumentative fallacies now, but that's a fallacy. Instead of going against the merits of my argument or my claims about it being adjacent and derivative and how the consumer has responded to adjacent and derivative games, instead of making it about those points, you make it about me. That's a very, very under the radar form of ad hominem. It's why I don't let you do it. You're like, I don't see what the problem is. Yeah, it's a sleight of hand, underhanded way to like sneak ad hominem into your argument. You're making it about me. This has nothing to do with me. I could love PvP games and I would still have the same feedback. There are people who eat, sleep, and drink PvP games, and they're saying the same things I'm saying. I'm in pretty good company, I'll have you know. There are plenty of people that love PvP. And they're like, that looks pretty derivative. That looks an awful lot like Apex abilities. That looks like a game I've played before. Like, you're making it about me. This has nothing to do with me. I could love RTSs and sports games, and I could still see from a mile away, this game is doing the thing that so many other games do, and I think it's going to run out of gas. I think people are going to pre-order it. I think they're going to have a player base at launch, and I think people are going to get bored very quickly because it's a very familiar and derivative play style and game loop that we've seen in many other games before. If Marathon succeeds, Lono vows to put a Goose plushie on display on his show. Money talks, I'll wait and see. You're not wrong. DJ May with a 26-month renewal on Purple, and then XCal with 42 months over there as well. Thank you, boys, for resubbing. Thank you guys that use your primes over there. I appreciate it very, very much. This man has made Lono's voice go up 3 octaves. I play the game, and I can say it does play like Apex, and I like it for that reason. Right. And it has been my assessment that when your game feels familiar and adjacent to other games, it very quickly gets dropped. That's been my assessment. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong, but that's what I think people are going to do because I've seen them do it in other games. And a 5 gifted bomb comes in from DJ May 88 over there on Purple. Purple leads the day 15-6. I'm playing a free-to-play game on PlayStation 5 called Pela. Really enjoyed it. What kind of game is it? The same arguments you are making against Marathon are true for all live service games. PvP or PvE, people getting bored and playing the same game is not revelatory. Did I once claim to have some sort of revelation from God himself about this? No. I already got that. It's sitting on my coffee table. I don't need to do that. What I'm telling you is, if we're going to look at the pattern of live service games that have come out, this one is making the mistakes that a lot of the games that failed made. I had the same conversation with people about X-Defiant, and people swore up and down that game was doing fine and going to be okay. And I was like, okay, Seems awfully adjacent, seems awfully similar. I don't think people are going to stick around. And then they did, and they couldn't maintain a player base, and they shut the game down. Haseo is going to walk this to 50. I got a super chat to thank. 2 singles coming in from Haseo. I think he means Palea instead of Pela. I think that's what he means. $18 super chat from Reverse Upend. I feel like people are underlooking how small these maps are. I almost want to say you won't have runs without PvP. And Haseo lands the plane on 50. I owe YouTube a single gifted member. Thank you so much. If one of the big streamers ends up liking it, I could see it being tide changing. No, here's the thing. Let me gift you guys. And Joker Quinn's going to come in as well with an Agents of Chaos single, and I appreciate you so much, Mr. Joker Quinn. It's now 10 to 15. You guys really going to let Twitch win this one? Huh? We are behind pace on the week. Heads up, little housekeeping. If we hit the weekly goal of 500, Gaming News Tonight with Madam is now on Saturday nights for the foreseeable future. Turnout was better. I feel like more of you get to partake, and it was easier for us on our schedule. So, I'm not attempting to say I've got some revelation here. I've got some crazy observation. What I'm saying is, if you look at the pattern of games like this, we know, number one, surviving is incredibly hard. We know, number two, the more derivative you are, the more similar you are, I think the likelihood of failure goes up. I think it just increases. And we know that when the public has like a bad taste in their mouth about your game, that can make it very, very difficult to turn things around. And I believe Marathon's working against all of those fronts. Hang on, what'd you say, Corey? Where did it go? There it is. I said that as well. If streamers pick this game up, I can see it succeeding. Here's the thing. If streamers pick the game up, and a bunch of people say, hey, that looks really fun, that looks really sweaty, I'm going to go play that. That doesn't change my overarching prediction that the game will struggle with re-engagement. I don't think initial sales, initial player numbers, none of that is an indication of anything. We're forgetting that Bungie has had a very, very rocky runway to this game even coming out. Fears at the company that leadership's going to leave, layoffs, people that were very unhappy with Pete Parsons' leadership. There's been a restructuring. Sony's kind of entered the picture. PlayStation's entered the picture at some degree, at some level. That ain't a great runway for your game to launch. I pre-ordered not expecting to make Marathon my main game. It'll be a side game for me. When I max out the leveling in Battle Pass, I'll play something else until reset. Yeah, well, and I don't even know if a lot of people are going to get to that point. How are you going to measure so well for Marathon? Currently top 5 on Steam charts. I've already addressed that. You have to look globally and not just in America. If you look globally at how it's doing on the Steam charts, it's currently in the 12th spot, okay? Just a little bit ago, it was in 13th. It's been moving around. It's been moving from 10th all the way to 13th, okay? It's hanging out. Just a moment ago, it was hanging out with Avatar Frontiers of Pandora, okay? Now, Avatar, I think, just recently did DLC as well as a sale. So, in one of the slowest times of the year, Bungie's next big game, it's in globally, it's not even in the top 5, top 3. Now, in America, it's top 5, but again, this is Bungie's next big game. This is the first 24-hour period where you can pre-order Bungie's next big game. It's competing against nothing right now. Nothing. Like, I don't think you should be throwing confetti in the air just yet. Base Pikachu says the beta is going to be catastrophic. The game feels bad and NDA won't be there to quiet the sentiment. Have you played in a while, or did you play last year? Because people are saying it feels a lot better. The people that are, being a little loose-lipped with their NDA. MikeyBot says, I sent some chats much earlier. I think there are some points I said earlier that you haven't touched on. Let me check these out. Did you give any details on in-game missions or some sort of story? Oh, did they? No. Like, beside grinding or gear or fighting other players, what are you going to be doing in the game? There's, like, mysterious aspirational content that you can grind for. I don't think the pre-order numbers will even remotely tell the tale on this, says MikeyBot. I think many people are waiting to hear from others. Word of mouth will be a selling factor for many. That's kind of my point, is this is Bungie's next big game, and they just went to an existing player base and said, oh, we'll give you something in Destiny if you pre-order this. And after 24 hours, it's in 12th place globally on Steam. I'm here to tell you, I would just slow down if you think this is it, this is their moment, this is tectonic. We're talking about Bungie, y'all. This is Bungie. This is their next big game. And where it's sitting for them and their pedigree and how long they've been around, I actually don't think this is extremely impressive. Are they sticking to the artwork? I'm not actually sure what they did. They settled with the artist. I don't know if she's going to get attribution in the game or something. I don't know what they decided to do. They didn't really say. Yeah, Marathon's going to have a free beta. The rumor is it's coming end of February. I don't know if they've officially announced it, but it was a pretty early rumor that there was a beta coming end of February. If you're going to do that, do it with full context. Oh, they also said Destiny players aren't their target audience. I don't understand what you mean. If you're going to do that, do it with full context. Are you talking to me or are you talking to them? If they're going to say that's not their target audience, I don't know then. Are they desperate? Bungie says Destiny players are not their target audience. Why is it a surprise? Okay, riddle me this, Batman. If Destiny's not their target audience, why are there incentives in Destiny to pre-order Marathon? And why are they delaying Destiny 2 content for the launch of Marathon? Homie, they're either desperate and they need those numbers to look better, so they were like, we need something. We need people in Destiny to help us get these numbers up. Or they're just talking to talk. Well, yeah, Destiny's not our target audience, but you sure could fool me. They seem like a significant part of your target audience. Yesterday, Marathon officially tweeted in response to somebody, we'll have an open preview weekend before launch and everyone will be able to try Marathon out. Okay, so it is official. It's not a rumor anymore. They said that yesterday at 11:34 in the morning. Is the target audience in the room with us now? The studio had layoffs and can only do so much. I think it's both. No. Track with me, Holler Rage. Track with me here. And can you say with a straight face, brother, tell me with a straight face they're not hoping a bunch of the Destiny fans play this game? Come on, bro. That would be like, the target audience for Destiny wasn't Halo fans. The frick out of here. Of course, a significant portion of the target audience for Destiny was the Halo fan base. You can't sit on an over decade-long live service shooter and be like, yeah, that's not really our target audience. Huh? What do you mean? You made another first-person shooter live service game, and you gave the people that are playing your previous first-person live shooter service game incentives to pre-order your game, but they're not the target audience? Sure, whatever you say, buddy. I don't know, man. I really feel like they definitely want some of them Destiny folks in there helping to, the numbers we have right now, the pre-order numbers we have right now, a lot of those people are Destiny folks. Tell me they're not. Come on, tell me they're not. You're getting stuff in Destiny for pre-ordering. Homies are going to wake up today or tomorrow. There's going to be a splash screen in Destiny telling them to pre-order Marathon. Come on, brother. Is there an actual path for Marathon to be a success? Frank, here's the challenge. in this, I can't get this out of my head. This is my position, so this is how I frame it, okay? You might see it differently than me. I think games that have a very narrow experience and they're also PvP, I think they have an incredibly difficult time maintaining a player base because it ends up feeling like a meat grinder. I think arena-style shooters are proving this. They just don't have legs anymore. You just do the same thing over and over and over again. Have you guys ever heard me make the heartbeat analogy? The splash screen happened to me yesterday while logging in. I told you. Okay, so I've talked about this before. If I miss a bunch of your chats, just repeat your points. You're going to have to bear with me just a second. So I've made the heartbeat analogy before. If you've ever looked at a heartbeat monitor, there's like a doont, and there's a doont, and there's a doont. That's official medical terminology, by the way. The doctor will say, your doonts look good. You're looking good. Your heart's healthy, okay? You have those little blips, those little mountain peaks, okay? Now, I want you to imagine those mountain peaks on the heartbeat monitor are the moments you repeat an action in a video game. So when you play an arena shooter and you know the maps and you know all the choke points, you tend to go to the same spot and do the same thing, get a couple kills, die, and then you do it again, and you do it again, and you do it again. And what happens is familiarity breeds contempt. All of a sudden, everything kind of feels the same. One match doesn't feel any different than the next match. It all bleeds together. That's why I call it a meat grinder. You're just in there, it's the same thing over and over again. The dawn of battle royales, I believe, has changed the public's palate and palatability for those types of experiences. So your target audience are people who kind of like PvP games. Like, whether you want to admit it or not, that's your target audience. They're playing Warzone, they're playing Apex, they're playing Fortnite, they're playing Arc Raiders, they're playing something where there's a PvP element to the game. Player versus player. They want to slay, they want to frag out, they want to do whatever. Okay. They're going to be coming from games where the time between a repeated action is pretty spread out. Because you can play a completely different game to game to game to game to game. Like one Arc Raiders match to the next, one Battle Royale match to the next. Everything you're doing can be completely different one game to the next. They're going to come to this game with that palette, with that player preference, and they're going to start playing a game that, as far as I can tell, is very narrow, very PvP, very kind of shrunk down. And if they're getting into those gunfights and they're doing those actions really close together, it will make their exit expeditious. That's been my opinion for the longest. When you go into a game like this, the psychology of the player has been modified by the game they've been playing. This goes to my metamorphosis principle argument that I make all the time. The games you play change you. They do. The games you play change you. They change your preferences. They change your palette. If you've been playing a Battle Royale for 2 years and you go and try and play an arena shooter, you're going to know exactly what I'm talking about. You're going to be like, yeah, I just don't like this anymore, right? You've been changed as a player. So that's been my position, is that when I look at this game, I see a bunch of derivative gameplay and experiences they can have in other games. It feels very, very shrunk down. It doesn't feel like this big landscape, this big open living world like it does in Arc Raiders. It feels very much like a match. That feeling, I think, will be shared by the players, and I think because of that, everything I just said will come to fruition. I think people will just get annoyed, bored, it's too familiar, it's too derivative. I think the hero abilities are going to play a significant role in people getting annoyed and leaving. You can sit here and tell me till you're blue in the faces, they're not heroes, they're classes. Nobody's going to freaking care when they're getting killed by wall hacks and a bot that comes around the corner and freezes them where they stand. They're going to be like, it's okay, I'm not going to rage. This isn't a hero shooter, they're classes. Like, no one's going to do that in the moment. They're going to be like, what the frick? They hate that kind of thing. PvP players tend to hate those kinds of things. So that's my general view of things is like, so when people are like, but you have a PvP bias and you don't like PvP games, and so that's why you're saying this. Homie, I just broke down the entire content loop, gameplay loop structure of a battle royale or an extraction shooter. I applied that to an argument and a thought that I have about repeatable actions driving players to boredom and how that's going to play a role in the content loop of Marathon. And if you think the argument is basically herder, don't like PvP, herder, this is DOA, if that's what you hear me say, well, then you're not listening to the argument that I'm making. You have to have a compelling content loop that doesn't get boring. You've got to have a reason to come back. And when I look at Marathon, I think, you guys are spending an awful lot of time talking about these classes that were once characters, that were basically heroes. The hate is forced, my guys. Stop it. If you don't like PvP, just say that. I mean, if you want to be a cliche, thoughtless chatter, there are quicker ways to do that. You could just say skill issue. You could just call me a name. You didn't even interact with anything I just said. I just went on a big, long rant analyzing gameplay loops of battle royales, games I've professionally shoutcasted, by the way, understanding what makes them compelling, what makes people keep coming back, why arena shooters have gone the way of the dodo, and I feel like this game is going to be too adjacent to either gameplay patterns, habits, behaviors, or things in other games that they don't like, or it's going to feel too much like a glorified, arena shooter with extraction elements. It feels very, very contained, like a match. It doesn't feel like a living world. It feels like a match. Arc Raiders has a feel because it's not like a match. Like you're not going in and just like get kills and get out. And so much of what they showcase, go watch the Runners video and just listen to the verbiage that they're using. Listen to the language that they're using. They're framing this up as a game where you go in and you fight other players. That's what you're doing. Well, metagaming is going to take over. Meta builds is going to take over. Meta abilities is going to take over. That's one of the fastest ways for people to be like, I'm sick of this. I'm out. Saying Lono hates PvP is super ignorant and clout chasing. Yeah, I created and procured and paid money to have an entire virtual desk built called Split Screen and shoutcasted Trials. I professionally shoutcasted Fortnite a number of times. I was getting into shoutcasting Valorant. But I did all that because I hate PvP. You're right. I cut my teeth on PvP games when I built my first PC. I was playing PvP games and you probably weren't even alive. But yeah, I hate PvP. My preference is I don't play them anymore, but saying that I hate them is not at all representative of my position or how I feel about these games. That's not accurate in the least bit. Yeah, I'll play it when it drops. No, Reforged was created by DS PvP game. Huh? I don't know what you're talking about. Marathon is a highly stylized version of Delta Force Ops inside a Destiny world. That is what they are going for, and Delta Force works really well. I'm just not sure it's here soon enough. The 6 factions in the endgame raid in the archive will be the go-to for this game. Okay, I'll take that. If you actually want to have a conversation and you actually want to talk about the content instead of just saying I'm forcing hate, let's have a conversation. So you're talking about aspirational content, right? Let's talk about aspirational content. In all of the years that Destiny has been out, what percentage of players do you think go into the aspirational content? Trials, dungeons, raids, Grandmaster Nightfalls. What's the percentage? Where do you think it lands? I know the number, by the way. I'm just curious if you know the number. Because if you know the number, your argument, you have to know from the very beginning that that's not a potent argument. It's not. Like, the smallest percentage of the Destiny community has engaged with a dungeon, a raid, a Trials, Lighthouse run, a Grandmaster Nightfall. 90-something% of that community has never set foot in those places. Now, the reason Destiny has worked all these years is because they created an incredibly satisfying loop that can be enjoyed in the public space or in the Strike playlist. Okay? So, you have to ask the question, what's the equivalent of that in Marathon? Because if you're going to try and keep this game running on the people that are going to go and do all that aspirational content, I got news for you. I bet you Helldivers would come back and say the same thing. I bet you Arrowhead would come back and say the same thing, that the vast majority of the player base doesn't go to the upper echelons of difficulty. They just don't do it. They don't care to. I think we're seeing similar player behavioral patterns in Arc Raiders. People aren't playing hardcore. They're not. They're chilling. They're playing peaceful. That's why the aggression-based matchmaking is there, because Embark Studios, they got some sharp cookies over there. They knew. They knew how they were going to have to keep people satiated in their game, and they did it without skill-based matchmaking. They did it with aggression-based matchmaking. A way to say, hey, we want you to be able to play the game and have a good time and not have it feel like you're just getting, montaged by PvP players. So I don't see, that again is what I come back to with Marathon. I'm like, I just don't know, man. People keep talking about how it's going to be hardcore. It's going to have build meta. It's going to have metagaming. Those are all the things that drive players away. So you're going to, what the game's going to live off of, like a hardcore 10% group that's just in there just sweating their faces off and then going into aspirational content? This applies to my argument when you compare a battle royale to an arena shooter. This is anecdotal, but let's just go with it. My son is 10. My daughter is 12. My son got his first Fortnite battle royale victory just this last weekend. He was so excited, he came and he told me when I was using the bathroom. He pounded on the door. He was very excited. I came downstairs and I made sure to record the footage. I recorded the last 15 minutes so he could have it as a memory. He's 10. My daughter has won 5 or 6 games. She's a little bit better than him. She's a little bit older. Okay? Now, what are the odds that my son and my daughter would go into an arena shooter and stand a chance and do well and rack a bunch of kills and have a bunch of wins? Probably pretty slim. It's not an environment that's conducive to like more casual play. It's not an environment that's conducive to like slower target acquisition. They're kids. A battle royale allows them to play like kids. They can drop and they know where to go where there's not tons of people. They've learned places to avoid. They already know what happens if you drop where everybody's dropping. They already know. It gets real bad and they die really fast and then they're upset, okay? They've already learned some of the strats. So a battle royale literally does the thing that I'm talking about. Did you wash your hands first? Of course I washed my hands first. Come on. Listen, if you've got kids, as a dad, your problem's not washing your hands. Your problem is your hands getting too dry in the winter because you're washing your hands a lot. You're always touching something gross. Dirty shoes, dirty socks, dirty faces. Like, it's a dirty time in your life. There's just kids around and they're always, why are you sticky? They're always sticky. Anyways. The point that I'm making is a battle royale allows them to play like that. An arena shooter really doesn't allow for that. So this gets to the point, this absolutely gets to the point that I'm making. When I look at Marathon, I see a game with no spectrum. It's like you're either going to play pretty hardcore and kind of sweat and it's going to be intense, or you're not really going to be able to hang. Battle Royale, you're forced to fight. An extraction game, you can run, attempt to escape without engagement. Just rat around. You're not wrong, Zimpachi, but here's the thing. I see the trailers and the setups and the areas in Marathon. It very much looks like funnel fighting. It's just like you're getting funneled to fights. It just looks like funnel fighting left and right. I don't feel like you're going to be able to play this game like... I know they showed the Rook, but even the Rook, I feel like you're going to draw attention to yourself. You're coming in halfway. You're trying to sneak past bots. Maybe the Rook will help people play more casually, but even that's going to be tough because it's going to be intense. I don't even know if you would say that's casual. It would be pretty dadgum intense if you're playing as the Rook and like trying to basically not get in fights. That's wrong. You don't have to sweat. Lots of room. I'm just telling you based off what we've seen. It looks like a game where you're getting funneled to a lot of fights. That's what it looks like to me. There's tunnels with lots of rooms and open areas with fields. Listen, the game is not selling itself in that way. It looks very much like you're empowered to go out there, find loot, find people, and fight them. You know? Chris Dring responded to Paul. Marathon, he sees Marathon as a console game. Am I missing something? He says, sounds to me like a typically PC-focused genre, and bringing it to console is an interesting opportunity, which, of course, is the company's MO. Are you sure he's not just saying that, like, historically Bungie's a console game company? Like, they make games that do well on console? Like, Destiny historically has been much stronger on console than PC? Reckless says there's going to be lanes. They described half the characters as backline and jungle and aggressive frontline. I agree with your perspective, says Impachi, but they will not show the downtime in a trailer that extraction games do all have. Oh, I'm not saying you're constantly fighting. That's why I said funnel fighting. It feels like the way the world and the maps are designed, you're getting funneled to fights. Whether you're getting funneled to fight AI that draws attention to yourself, or whether you get funneled to people to fight. That's why I said funnel fighting. I don't know about lanes. I'm just reading what people in chat have said. I know nothing about lanes or any of that, right? I'm telling you, from where I sit and the way they show the game and the way they show the runners and the way they show the maps, I'm like, looks like a lot of funnel fighting. You're either getting funneled to the AI or you're getting funneled to people. You're getting funneled to something. What are you going to do? Not go for loot? If you're going for loot, there are going to be people. There's going to be bots. It's a good term, funnel fighting. It seems like funnel fighting to me. I don't know, that's just a term I came up with right now because I've watched a lot of these games and how they play out. And like with Arc Raiders, you can definitely avoid funnel fighting because you just don't go where you know all of the bots are or all the people are. In this game, it looks like if you do that, there's nothing. Like, you're either going into buildings to get stuff where the people and the bots are, or you're not. I don't know. That just feels like there's going to be an awful lot of fighting going on. That's not really a problem, by the way. I feel like this game is going to lean more heavily into PvP than a game like Arc Raiders, right? It feels like that. It feels like it's going to lean a little bit more into PvP. That's not a problem. I just think that's going to do some of what I've been saying. It's going to push people away rather quickly. Because I don't think aspirational content is what ends up, saving this game or what have you. I think that'll give people a reason to come back that are committed and like it, but I think anybody else, if you're more of a mid-lane player, there's very limited ways to escape when you have a hero that has a UAV. This is true. Here's another thing I'll say. If we look at some of the games that have been the most popular, Fortnite, Helldivers exploded, Arc Raiders is exploding. They all have something in common, I think. I think they've created an environment where you can have a really good time as a casual. I think they all have that in common. Those of you that have played it, and those of you that watch these trailers with me and these runner videos, and you've listened to the way they talk about the game, like Joe Ziegler said, it's not a game for everybody. It's intense, okay? Can you say with a straight face that people are going to be able to enjoy this game as a casual? The photo in the thumbnail looks like you want to talk to me about my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. Good morning, reformers. Reformers? Listen, man. I'm not Martin Luther, okay? Like, what are we doing here? Reformers. I'm not going to nail some piece of paper to the, to the door of the Catholic Church. All right? In Ark, you can literally never mistake an enemy AI for a player. In Marathon, there will be more. It'll be more common, just like Tarkov and ABI. What's that? It's going to be sweaty every engagement, and I love that. The game and its community are already saying they're PvP first. Yeah. Dudeness says so many people are going to get taken out by the bots, entire teams. That was one takeaway I've heard from a lot of people. The bots will just clean you up in this game. Like, they're not playing around. Arena Breakout Infinite. Guys, if you haven't hit the like button already, do me a favor and do that. Let's get to 200 likes. And check your primes and your renewals. If you've got those, celebrate those. That adds to the total. Yeah, I think that's where I'm really landing with this. Casuals will be cooked unless they are matched with other casuals. Yeah. I really do. I look at Fortnite, I look at Helldivers, I look at Arc Raiders. If we look at like breakout live service games that have been kind of like the ones that kind of shocked everybody, like Apex doing fine, I think was worthy of note, but didn't like shock the world the way Fortnite did. Helldivers went like viral, and Arc Raiders just like nobody expected Arc Raiders to be where it is right now. Nobody, not even them. I think all these games have that in common. You can play as a casual. I think I'll be honest with you, that's what killed New World. New World was being enjoyed by casuals, and those people just got driven away from the game. I told y'all at the time, I was like, I think we're entering the era of the mid-lane gamer. The Garagage. Thank you so much for 8 months and a member plus. Let me add you to the total. I said this when New World was kind of popping off. I said, I think we're entering the era of time of the mid-lane gamer. Listen, a lot of us now, we're dads, or we're uncles, we're husbands. We've got jobs, right? You're a wife, you're a mom, you've got a double shift this coming up weekend. You don't have the time that you used to. The average age of gamers is like, 28 to 55. And we're all in an era of life now where it's like, man, we can't be doing 16 hours of EverQuest or RuneScape or WoW. Like, we're not, the demographic is shifting away from that player behavior. And I think when it shifts away from that type of behavior and schedule, you start to play more casually. I think a ton of casual gamers are hanging out in Warzone and Apex and Fortnite and Arc Raiders and Helldivers. I think a bunch of casual dads are hanging out in those games. And if you've got a game that they can't play or they're not going to like, I think that's another risk you're taking with live service. Live service needs a nice, big, fat, broad funnel, because eventually you're going to get down to your core group that keeps coming back month after month, and that group size is in relation to your launch funnel. That's a very easy visual. When your game launches, you want that funnel just wide open. You want so many people playing, because eventually you're going to get down to your core. Look at Marvel Rivals as an example. Whoa, so many people are playing, and now it's settled down into a core group. And that core group is directly in relation to the trajectory set by the funnel itself at launch. A game like this, man, I feel like, holy mackerel, that funnel's going to be narrow from jump, because it's like, man, that's a hardcore game. Dad here, I get GM and Rivals every season in PC and console. Man, good for you. Some of you guys are still out here grinding. You know what I mean? You won't let go. You're still acting like a young blood, okay? I know your reflexes are sore and your back's a little sore right now, but listen, your reflexes are slower and your back's a little sore right now. But good for you. I think a lot of us have moved on from that. Bread My Butter says, Lono, I personally think all the PvP heavy players from Ark will be checking out Marathon, especially streamers and people complaining about the cheating in Ark. I think you're correct. I think that will turn up the temperature in the game. I think it'll turn the temperature up in the game. It will. Crispy Bogod says, I went from grinding my teeth in trials every weekend to playing solo JRPGs because I can't do the grind anymore. Right? Perfect Egg says, no, I deadlift 535. I'm black, though, so. Well, you know. I mean, listen. Your skin's going to look great when you're in your 60s. But I don't think you're going to be fragging out the same way, okay? We all know black don't crack. But you're still going to slow down in games, brother. You can keep those muscles looking nice. And your skin looking nice. Especially if you're, you know, a purveyor of lotion. But I'm here to tell you, your brain's going to slow down eventually. It's unavoidable, all right? I'm 44. Okay? I'm here to tell you, it happens. Yo, Minstry comes in with 52 months. Destiny had 3 different classes that could be described as heroes, different abilities that could be used in certain classes. What's the difference between heroes and classes? Is it just semantics? Let me add that one to the total. Fundamentally, it is quite literally just terminology. In execution, they're functioning like heroes. You can talk about cooldown. You can talk about how often the abilities show up. Listen to me. Yeah, I don't care what you call them. You can call them runners. You can call them tennis shoes. I don't care. I don't care. Their execution and the experience of the player, they're going to feel an awful lot like heroes. Homies have got wall hacks, drones that'll walk around the corner and blow up, and then you can't move. Grapple hooks that give you access to verticality nobody else has access to. I mean, listen, that's going to feel an awful lot like heroes. I don't care what you call them. It doesn't matter, but that's what folks are going to feel. Pac-Man says, YouTube better. 8 months on purple, and he's using his prime. Thank you so much. Game sense will just get better. Okay. Go play some ball and tell me that when you're in your 50s. Is your game sense going to matter? Going up against some 20-something? I don't know about that. I don't know. There's a time where they call you Unc a little too early. And then there's a time where it's true. You know what I mean? There's a time where they call you it too early and you'll humble them. And then they go home and they say, okay, you just wait. Because they know Father Time's coming for you. Eventually, though. Eventually. It always happens. Eventually the young bloods call you that, and it's accurate. My father was an animal at 50 in COD. Yeah. I think game sense in some games can over compensate for reflexes. They can, because positioning in some games is everything. This is true. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. Positioning is huge in some games. Like, your game sense can really give you the advantage over the young bloods. But boy, oh boy, when they start doing some of the flicks and the moves and the dives and the, Jiminy Christmas. It's like you're playing against Doctor Strange. It's like, I don't even know what happened. I'm just dead. Like, you know what I mean? They're like, the future is now, old man. And they're like sniffing G Fuel off the desk. And it's like, all right. They got their ninja sweatband on. I said this yesterday, ball pit's a hero shooter. It is. It is, though. That's good. That's good, Minstry. I like that. That was a good joke. Rainbow Six Siege is all problem solving and game sense. I'm going to tell you what, once we're all old enough and enough of us are in nursing homes, we can pioneer turn-based first-person shooters. We can pioneer it. It won't be popular right now, okay? But when a lot of us are hanging out in the nursing homes, those games will pop off, you know. Because Earl and Jed are going to be like, they're going to be wanting to play something. Give them a turn-based first-person shooter. Yeah, slow it down a bit for them, you know? Let them think. Let them think for a minute. I can't keep up with my son in Fortnite builds, but I own him when building is removed. Oh, yeah. Because he's relying on that that stuff they do with the mouse. Just like cranking 90 in like a second. You got around to playing Animal, great puzzle-based Metroidvania. Nice. I started Crypt Custodian last night, just in case I don't like Mio. I think I'm going to like Mio, but it depends. We're hearing that Memories in Orbit. Oh, that comes out today, and I didn't make a thumbnail for it. Oh, shoot. Oh, well. I wanted to check that game out today with y'all. I might have to go make myself a title and thumb. A 6v6 turn-based shooter would be interesting. I think we will be the first wave of old people who are actually good at games. Yeah. My dad was good at games, but he just fell off. He just didn't want to play them anymore. Some of them would give him vertigo and stuff. My dad was good. He played a game called Draken. It had a PvP community in it. He loved Tomb Raider. Like, he was a gamer. He played the original Nintendo with us the day we got it, and he just eventually kind of fell off. Like, I think a lot of us aren't going to do that. We're going to keep playing even in our older ages. We'll find different things to play, I'm sure. You know. Some of y'all won't give it up. You'll just keep insisting that you still got it. But the rest of us have, you know, I've already kind of moved on. I'm like, man, if it requires quick reflexes and stuff, even last night, I was like, all right, I don't have anything to play right now. I'm waiting on Memories in Orbit, you know, new Metroidvania, and so I go back into Lies of P, and I'm like, you know, maybe I can treat this like First Berserker Kazan, you know, got the easy mode on or whatever. I maybe died twice. It was easier for sure, and I was just like, yeah, it's just not scratching an itch for me anymore. I did fine. I got some really good parries. I went up against one of the little guys. It's like, I'm here to rob you. And you're like, who the frick are you? Got some of the timing down, a couple of deaths, figured it out. And I was just like, I just didn't feel any satisfaction in it. I don't know. You're 53 and you're still gaming? I mean, we're obviously kind of joking around and kidding around, but I do mean it. I think our age demographic is moving on from like the highly competitive, highly sweaty, or like, oh, I've got to play the game 18 hours a day, MMOs, like all of that. Like, I really do think that the casual dad gamer, I think we're a growing audience, right? Listen, I know like ratios aren't everything, and I know this tool is not the best. I just realized the runner shell video went up 4 days ago. I mean, it's still, I don't know, man. Again, I think the general audience is still just kind of no to this. Like, this is the people that are like, yep, still want it, y'all pre-order it. I still think there's a lot of people that are less like no to this game. I still think the reach of Bungie has, I don't know. I just don't think it's what it once was. You know, people are looking at those pre-order charts on Steam, and I think it's given them a real false sense of confidence about the game. In the grand scheme of things, Bungie's latest game should be absolutely killing it with pre-orders. It should be. I don't know. I've been covering them as a company for how long now? 11 years. And I'm here to tell you, this doesn't look like Bungie has that pull that they once did. They'll play when the clips start coming out. I don't know. Like, this kind of goes back to when we would talk about You have to install the extension Yanadid, and it's not a hard science. It's like an approximation. It's a pretty good guess most of the time. Sometimes it can be very, very inaccurate, though. To be fair, Dragon Age Veilguard hit number 1 on Steam pre-orders. It did. It did, and it didn't... I think it didn't fall short of its commercial, like, projections, like where they wanted to land or something. I can't remember. Speculating on long-term success is very different than speculating on whether or not it'll be good or some players will enjoy it or not. Boyfriend21 says, you're correct. I love gaming since I got my first Atari, but if devs don't make good games without their self-issues in it, like GTA 6 is going to be so not good since they let politics into it. The frick are you talking about? What have you seen from either GTA 6 trailer that you think there's going to be politics in it? What? It's just like wanton debauchery and strip clubs and twerking on cars and robbing banks. Where are you seeing politics in GTA 6? Single gifted comes from Stone Spire. He wants the 20 bomb dunker to 75. Thank you, Stone Spire. We still doing this? Man, my man's just woke up from a coma. He's like, but I heard it was going to be woke, huh? It's like, have you watched the trailers? Like, what? What are you talking about? Marathon will be DOA, says the Jew. Sony will say, nah, F this, we're taking over, and then Bungo will officially be dead. Lona, what's your best guess on the needed player count for Marathon to be viable? I don't know. I have a hard time guessing that, Hadigan, because every game has a minimum viable player count to stay alive. Well, it's too late now. I've watched every single trailer and demo and dev interview. Okay, so what do you think's political about it? You seem very informed. Let me pull up the question sheet here. We've only got one question submitted so far from Wired Ropes. Wide open, boys. He says, at what point does Marathon meet or exceed Arc Raiders? I don't know what you mean. Like, if you think it can meet or exceed Arc Raiders in the realm of like player numbers, or I don't know what you're talking about. I mean, Arc Raiders is going to be really, really hard for Marathon to even touch with respect to like player numbers. You know what I'm saying? If you have different views, don't say anything. What's that supposed to mean? I spent most of the morning debating people that don't agree with me. What do you mean by that? I feel like if Rockstar were going to go woke route, it would have happened already. I wish games weren't seen as competition, just another game to play. Well, I think saying will it be able to be rival or take on Arc Raiders, I don't necessarily know if it's a competition, but homie, there is a competition happening, brother. Every game is competing for your time and your attention. All of you will see why it's been pushed back 4 times. Oh. So it's your contention they've been pushing it back. They got to get all that woke stuff in there. Okay. All right. We'll see. You don't remember the big deal when the first trailer dropped? When they said 2026 and all the people were upset. Also, nothing was woke till 2017. You're not making a very coherent point. Rissick with the single gifted. Thank you, sir. Getting us to 56. What are you talking about, dude? I don't know what you're saying. I don't know the point that you're making. You're truly not making sense. What do you mean, you people? The anti-woke brigade has declared every game to be DEI, DOA woke slop until proven otherwise. That's right. Psycho Hex says, homie, I'm as anti-woke as they come, and you're sounding like a loony to me. Hex is like, this is not my people. I was answering 2 questions at once. I would say, given your ability to answer 2 questions at once, that's ill-advised going forward. Maybe just take it one at a time. You know what I mean? You know, tie your shoes first before you start to walk, kind of a thing. You know, I'm just saying. You slow it down a little bit. Just take it one at a time here. The game with the bald chicken space isn't woke. Okay. We're really getting somewhere here. You getting to the point is like a bullet train that's not operational. I don't get to the point, man. Like, what are we doing here? I won't play it just because of the cartoony looks, says Mike Apex. To me, it looks bad. Not to mention, Bungie has lost their way. I think the $40 price tag is not attractive these days. The $40 price tag for Marathon's an interesting question because this came up about Arc Raiders. And I, told you guys it's like that scene in Gladiator where he's like, if you win the crowd, you win your freedom. Arc Raiders won the crowd. Arc Raiders won the crowd. Arc Raiders won the crowd. They did. I don't know if Marathon's winning the crowd. I don't. I look at that runner's video on PlayStation. I look at the like ratio, and I'm like, I look at the pre-order numbers, and I'm like, I don't know. I mean, you got an audience. You do. You clearly got the Destiny boys, the Bungie boys. You got some of the press outlets ready to go to bat for you. Pay close attention. Pay close attention to that. Chris comes in with 52 months. I don't know what's woke and what isn't, but here's to finding out sometime in the next 52 months. Thank you so much. Let me add you to the total. 57 on the week. It's a number 5 on Steam already. That's only in America. Globally, Marathon's been struggling to hold top 10. It's in 11th place right now. Listen. This is Bungie's next big thing. It should be higher than that, man. I don't know. Bungie's next big thing, and they're giving you incentives in Destiny to pre-order. And it's barely holding on to top 10 on the Steam chart pre-order. Not just in America, but globally. And it's competing with like nothing. The comment section on their videos is night and day if you look at the main YouTube versus PlayStation. Are you for real? So Invisible Hunters are branching out into the Marathon world. The shooting looks clean. I like how the bullets feel. I dig the vibe. This looks quite better than previous trailers. I'm not into extraction shooters, but this looks better than what was shown. This looks cool. I love the way that it looks. It looks like it's getting better with feedback. The comments seem pretty positive on the colors hurt my eyes. Texture of the buildings look weird. PvE mode or horde mode, I'm not really into the Arc Raiders thing. Looks great. It's improving. Comment sections look fine. Comment section on the PlayStation official channel is just dogging the game. Well, let me go to latest instead of those. Nah, we got Arc Raiders, though. This looks more interesting than Arc Raiders. I can't unsee Roblox. I don't care about the dislikes. I'm buying this. Yeah, it's definitely getting disliked for some reason. General sentiment is rising. I think the sentiment is rising with people who are paying attention to the game. I think the real dilemma for the game is a lot of people aren't paying attention to it anymore. Like, if you look at the actual trailers on their own channel, if their own YouTube channel, like, interest has gone down. Arc Raiders was the opposite. Arc Raiders had some trailers and some things, and then they did their beta or whatever, and then they did their one trailer, and, like, the viewership went up on their stuff. Interest went up. Interest has gone down on Marathon's channel. I think that's the issue. I think people that are paying attention, I mean, I'm paying attention to the game, and I'm like, yeah, it looks better. It looks like they did a good job listening to the players. That's not, you can't really deny that it looks better. That's kind of a, I think that's kind of a given. The free weekend will do a lot for the game. It's a bold strategy. There's a blade there that swings both ways. You know what I mean? That blade has two sides, brother. Like, you let a bunch of people play it. They might say, this ain't worth 40. I can go play this basically somewhere else. Or, I don't like it. Or, it's real sweaty. Or, whatever. There's two sides of that blade, man. You could convince somebody, but for every person you convince to get it, you could convince a couple more to not get it. Their trailers on PlayStation get 25% of the views on their own channel. Yeah, let's take a look at that, because PlayStation's a really, really big YouTube channel. And this is a 4-day-old trailer. Let's look at where it's landing here. I got to tell y'all, it just continues to look like interest has dropped. Oh, wait, I can't do that. It makes text over there huge. It just looks like interest has just dropped off. So this is a more non-focused channel, right? This is the PlayStation channel. So you get like a Far Cry update, 300,000. You know, Ravens Watch Merlin's here's got 20,000. This is Marathon's video has 70,000. All right, it's 4 days old. Like, Styx Blades of Greed is 6 days old, and it's got 60,000. Like, it's hanging out with a viewership threshold of Styx Blades of Greed. Dr. Disrespect accused Bungie of botting their original reveal trailer. Doc is misjudging that, right? There's a joke there somewhere, but that trailer, the original Marathon trailer, was embedded on a bunch of PlayStation blogs. I don't know if I've seen PlayStation do that all too often. And because it was embedded on a bunch of blogs, anytime you pulled up a PlayStation blog, it was counting as a view. I've never seen that before, ever. It was an embedded trailer. They didn't do that with Wolverine, Spider-Man, God of War, nothing. It was very bizarre that they did that. And so its viewership isn't botted. It's basically just a bunch of passive views from people that were pulling up PlayStation blogs. He thinks that Marathon looks better now and will try it. I think all of the streamers that play PvP games are going to play it. Some of them are going to play it for the, you know, the little bit of scratch they get from Bungie to play it. Hey, leave Styx alone. Hey, I'm not hating. I just don't think Styx is a, you know, is a barn burner. It's not a barn burner. You know what I'm saying? It's not. It is. Marathon's latest video on PlayStation has roughly the same view count as that. Like, you know, come on. That's all I'm saying. I ain't hating. Yeah, the issue does seem to be you've improved what the game looks like to the people that are paying attention. I think there's way more people that just aren't paying attention. They either moved on because they don't like the way that it looks, or they didn't like the presentation, or they didn't like the art theft, you know. Or, you know, maybe they're just playing something else. They're like, yeah, I'm good. Arc Raiders came in like a vacuum cleaner and just pulled in a ton of people. The runner video has 167,000 views on the Marathon channel, which is greater than the subscriber number. So there's that. The thing you need to look at, Gandalf, is look at every video they've dropped and how each one's getting less and less views. It's not about having more views than your sub count. That's common for channels like that. Burnt Peanut loved Marathon Alpha, so I imagine he will like the final game as well. Burnt Peanut will stream a game as long as he's got a canvas to entertain. So I don't know if Marathon's going to give him a place to do that more than Arc Raiders. You know, Marathon will give him a place to do that when it's the more relevant game, you know, for however long that is, 24 hours or so. But I think viewership and interest from the public is going to not enjoy this as much. I don't think it has the same narrative entertainment value that Arc Raiders can offer. It was kind of like when you saw a lot of the BR guys go and play like Arena COD. They didn't really stay because you can't really do the narrative thing. I'm Hotep Williams says, if you're not into PvP shooters, Marathon probably isn't for you, but if you are, it's great. They're more than just gunfights with engaging missions, puzzles, and events that will keep players coming. Peanut swimming in cash. He'll play any game that keeps him there. I feel like it's a lot easier to entertain an audience with a game like Arc Raiders. I think it's harder to do with a game like Marathon. Just the setup, the world, the third person versus the first person, the propensity for proximity chat. Arc's got a vibe. It's got a whole social vibe to it. I think Marathon's going to have a harder time to do that. I think Marathon's going to be more of like a highly focused, hyper aware, a lot of gunfights, a lot of intensity, which, I mean, there's plenty of that in Arc Raiders. But I think Arc Raiders, it takes place on a canvas that's like naturally more entertaining. I've been watching, you know, the rise and fall of different games and streamers for a long time. And there's just something about games that give you that feel of, number one, third person. Number two, it's just got more of like an emergent nature to it. It's more dynamic, like it's kind of different every time. I just think some games they're not as conducive to crafting a narrative, you know. Yeah, if they can't get the cheating under control, then the Arc boys are going to have a really easy time just being like, yeah, why would I play Arc right now? I just keep getting cheated. So... I can't wait to see people crying on the 5th. You guys won't get to play until the 6th. Bungie's historically terrible on launch day. Yeah, I'm not sure what the player queues will be like, but Polarin here has a question. What constitutes a hero shooter? Team Fortress had classes, and they all had different skills. What's the difference in this case to Marathon? I'd call that classes. Team Fortress is one of the OGs. Yeah, I mean, Team Fortress was in the original, I believe it was the Quake engine, and Team Fortress is essentially the seedbed that led to Overwatch. I would say it's a difference in potency. We talked about this the other day. And when I see somebody who has wall hacks and, you know, abilities that are people referring to as ults, like an ultimate, I think once you hit that level of potency, I think you're more adjacent to a hero shooter. You don't have to call it a hero shooter. I just think you're very, very much related. You're like a very close cousin. You know what I mean? If you guys live in a certain part of the world, you know, southern parts of America. Don't start thinking too closely about that, all right? But, you know, there's such a similarity. And again, it's the potency. If I can see through walls, I send a drone around the corner to, like, blow you up and freeze you where you stand. I don't know. That doesn't sound like a class to me. That sounds like a hero. But it doesn't really matter, does it? It doesn't really matter. I could call it a hero. You could call it a class. That doesn't change how it's experienced. Do you know what I'm saying? Nobody's popping up and straightening their glasses and being like, actually, that ability that killed you, it's not a hero. It's a class. Now, who the heck cares? If you're getting killed by somebody who could see you through the wall, or they can send a drone around the corner and you can't move because the drone explodes next to you, are you really going to give a single frick about, like, what that's called? You're going to be like, you know, it's a good thing. It's a good thing this is a class-based shooter and not a hero-based shooter, because that would have been really angry. You know, I'd be really angry right now. Like, that's not the issue. The issue isn't what you call it. The issue is the player experience. I don't know if I'd call it a hero shooter. It's class-based, similar to how Battlefield's structured. Well, you say it's so similar. Yeah, I don't think the player is going to care. I don't think the player is going to care. They're going to be like, I got killed by some crazy strong ability. What the frick do I care what you call it? I don't think Marathon will be similar to Ark in terms of loot at all. No, the loot table looks more it looks more like a Division style, where, like, you get something and then you can kind of modify it. You can do that in Ark, but it doesn't seem to make much of a difference. At least that's what people said initially, that attachments didn't do much. I don't know if they've changed that or addressed that. To me, a hero shooter is something like Overwatch or Marvel Rivals, where the character is set, one weapon, set of abilities, no ability to change these, it's set. But we know these things evolve, right? They evolve. Like, there are plenty of people that look at certain games and are like, that's not a this. And it's like, well, you know, the genres start to evolve. They start to morph. It's almost like a hybrid, right? It's not really a hero shooter, but boy, oh boy, it sure borrows a lot of stuff from hero shooters. It's kind of like a hybrid. You know, Lono's going to enjoy Marathon. The game looks fine. You're predicting that I'm going to enjoy it? That's a prediction. That certainly is a prediction. Someone said weapon attachments don't do anything in Ark. That first week I was playing, people were saying, yeah, don't even bother, it doesn't do anything. I don't know. I remember at the time being like, oh, I'm going to put these attachments on, and someone was like, don't bother, it doesn't do anything. Are you at least trying it? Yeah, I'll try it. Lono's top 3 played games this year. High Guard, Marathon, Saros, in that order. Yeah, I'm not a PvP guy, dude. I'm not a PvP guy. This game's not going to appeal to me. It isn't. Lono's very much known for his love of PvP games. This is right. My prediction, Lono's going to be done after 40 minutes, and he doesn't ever touch it again. Hey, now, come on now. It ain't going to be that fast. We'll at least get an hour out of it. We'll get an hour out of it, boys. You know? Let me know if you need a carry. Oh, for sure. Lone's about to get stuck on a menu. You never know. Why's my ring going off? Where is it going off? Backyard. Oh, my neighbor's dog's probably out. Yeah, that's what it is. An hour still in queue because the server's broke? It's possible. Mikey Bot says, better phrasing, what will it take for Marathon to surpass Arc Raiders? A dadgum miracle. You know what I mean? Nate, you retracted it before I could reply, but you're asking why I haven't reflected on being wrong about Arc Raiders. Arc Raiders has proven virtually everything I said about it correct. Like, I said that a game like that, where there's so much disruption and they went away from their PvE roots, I was like, you're going to have a hard time keeping players. They address that directly in a variety of ways. They're well aware. Like, my observations and predictions about Arc Raiders, the reason it's so successful is because they quite literally agreed with virtually everything I said from the outset. When I played Arc Raiders day one, I said, I believe there are people that will play this game and they're going to play peaceful. Operation Friendship. Go watch my first day playing the game. I said it. I was like, I believe there's people in here. And a 10 bomb comes in from Hidden Siriu. Thank you so much, Hidden Siriu, getting us a 67. We're a little behind pace on the week. Now's the time to turn it up. Thank you so much, Hidden Siriu. Like, I said for the longest that extraction shooters were always going to face the struggle of mass appeal because it's disruptive. People don't like disruption. They didn't like it in Gambit. I was like, they're not going to like it in this game. They're going to get frustrated. They're not going to like people stealing their stuff. They're not going to like booting up and having their evening wasted. Embark seemingly knew that very well. They crafted an entire matchmaking system around that very thing. We have 67. Are you freaking kidding me? Can we please, can we get this out of here? What in the world? Somebody renew or something. Tale of two YouTube channels. I think Marathon's going to make a lot of people realize that they don't actually like extraction shooters. They just like Arc. Yo, Silent comes in with a prime 3 years. There it is, 68. Thank you. Jiminy Christmas. Keep it. My daughter would have been thrilled. Thank you. My man Goku coming in. Gifting one. Getting us a 69. Nice. Much better number. Member Plus from Handheld Gaming. Thank you so much. Let's add it to the total. We're sitting at 70 on the week. And a Member Plus from Hollow Judgment says, nice, 71. Thank you. Little renewal train here. TJ Boom and Jester. I can't count them. They got to be Member Plus or VIP, but thanks for renewing. I can't tell if those are gifteds or not. Actually, you know what? Forget it. We're just counting them. We're counting them. Boom, boom. Because I've been telling people just to sign up for the normal membership right now. It's easier. Just do the $5. If you've never done a membership before on YouTube, just snag that $5 membership. Just grab it. You get into our Discord. You can be a part of Green Room at the end of the day. Legend with 44 months in VIP. Boom, there we go. 74. I'm too old for knowing that, says Silent. I haven't played Ark, but I've watched a lot of people in streams playing it. It does not interest me at all. Not gifted. I'm counting it. It's fine. Our focus is to get people on their own membership, and I can total that on the back end in a way. There's a way to do it. I wish I'd gotten to try Marathon. I'm looking forward to it since playing Art. What's good, Rachel? Member Plus from Banshee says, boom. There it is, 75. I owe YouTube a member. A gifted from Stone Spire. Stone Spire was trying to land that plane, gets us to 76. Keep it going, boys. We are a little behind pace if you want that. We moved the stream with Madam to Saturday. If you guys hit 500 on the week, that's from both renewals and gifteds. Madam and I do our stream on Saturday now. More of you are able to come. to the show, and it's easier for us to do the stream. There we go. And thank you guys so much for spending your day with me here today. Listen, I know a lot of you come around when I talk Destiny and Bungie, and then the rest of the time you're not here. Listen, we do the same thing we've always done. It'd be amazing if you hit those alerts, make sure they're set to all, get in the Discord, and come around every day and debate and go back and forth and enjoy the show, right? We very much depend on those daily homies just tuning in every day. If you never want to lose your stuff, it's not an extraction game. What's the point of having a vault full of stuff? Well, again, I feel like what's interesting is you seem to be very, animate about this, but you say you don't play Arc Raiders. Well, why wouldn't you play it? And you're also not looking at Arc Raiders as a holistic picture. Plenty of people grind Arc Raiders and they don't want to lose their stuff because they want to go in and work on a quest or a grind, find a blueprint, kill a bastion, take on a queen. Well, how do you do that? Well, you got to have good loot. Well, how do you get good loot? You got to freaking get out with it. You got to get out. That shouldn't be that difficult to understand. It shouldn't be that difficult to understand. People play Arc Raiders and don't want to PvP because there's, a mountain of PvE content in the game to engage with. They don't want to lose their stuff because there's stuff for them to do with it. There's things to take on. Yeah, I saw Schreier's thing about the PlayStation 6. Yeah. Listen, y'all that want to talk about my position on Arc Raiders and how I should reflect on my position on Arc Raiders. In May of last year, I said Arc Raiders needs PvE. Don't you think it's interesting that the bulk of the content, the bulk of the additive content, and the bulk of how you can play that game right now with aggression-based matchmaking, you can play it like a PvE game? Don't you think it's interesting that that was my perspective? Game hadn't even come out yet. It was May, right? And then the game came out October 30th. 15 days before that, I said they were doing wipes right. They were doing character wipes right. The game's not out yet. October the 20th, the game is not out yet. And I said, Arc Raiders redefining extraction. And I was saying, these guys are charting a new course. So tell me again, I was wrong about Arc Raiders? I said extraction shooters are going to struggle. I said extraction shooters are going to struggle to be mainstream because people don't like to be disrupted. People don't like to lose their stuff. Embark Studios said, we know. We're well aware of that. We have an entire solution created around that idea. But you want to try and pull some kind of gamer cred card on me and be like, you were wrong about Arc Raiders? Okay. All right, that's fine. That's fine. I call them how I see them, and I called Arc Raiders from a mile out. I said they need PvE for this game. And then they outlined how they're doing character wipes. And I was like, that's the exact right way to do it. Go back and watch why I argued that. Why did I say that was the right way to do character wipes? Why? I said that appeals to the everyman, everyday player. That appeals to the casual who doesn't want to lose all their stuff and have it forced on them. They're broadening the funnel. And look where we sit now. Aggression-based matchmaking. People are playing it like it's a PvE game. And like what? Like 10% of the audience wipe their characters? G-money Christmas. I think they're referring to you thinking that you would not enjoy Arc, but you did. Well, I enjoyed Arc, but I also stopped playing Arc. I did. I stopped playing because it's such a grind. I just don't. And that's to my credit earlier when I told Corey, I don't have a strong PvE live service bias because I don't really stick with the PvE live service games right now. It's not really my preference. Yo, local to stream. Now that's an old name. How are you? I did not wipe when they announced the additional $5 million worth of items in your vault required at the last minute. If you guys think that I'm going to suddenly like Marathon the way that I liked Ark did addressed all the things I said that would need to be addressed. The feeling like PvP is forced on you and having your stuff taken and being disrupted. They addressed that with the matchmaking. Having it be more PvE focused. They certainly addressed that. Look at the quest, look at the grind, look at the gear, look at the way the game is built. It's a PvE game with some PvP thrown in. And then I said, you got to appeal to the casuals. And they did. I mean, with the wiping and how they did that and the aggression-based matchmaking. Had back surgery, so you're on leave? Well, I hope your recovery is going well. My dad had back surgery recently. It can be rough. Glad to see you're doing well out here. I'm doing my best. I'm doing my best. I appreciate it. It's just strange. Why not make a different playlist for PvE only? Arc Raiders understands very, very strongly that you got to protect your identity. And their identity is one of, this is a dangerous place. You need friends. That doesn't really work if everyone's automatically your friend. It doesn't work. Right? It doesn't work. I also did a stream on October the 20th before the game came out, and I said Arc Raiders is proving me wrong. Arc Raiders gameplay on May. Yeah. So, listen. Stranger things have happened, boys. Stranger things have happened. I'll be booting up Marathon. We'll see if they can change my mind. But I don't see that happening. The point of having real players in the mix with AI is the tension that it brings, knowing you can be killed by them. Any good survival game knows this. Yo, what's good, Protovex? How are you? Hope all is well. Big vibes. Thank you. If you guys are watching on Purple or YouTube, make sure your notifications are turned on. Make sure your membership's active. I haven't been able to hear your takes. What's your Marathon outlook at present? I think people are overestimating its pre-order status right now. I don't think it's as impressive as people think that it is. It's basically competing with nothing. And it's in 11th place globally on Steam for pre-orders. Bungie's history and pedigree, their next big game, struggling to hold top 10 globally on pre-orders, competing against nothing. Like, there's nothing right now out that's really rivaling it for pre-orders. Like, it's the hot thing right now to pre-order if you're going to pre-order something. I don't think those numbers are that impressive. I think people are overestimating how impressive they are. I think they're going to have a core audience from Jump. I think they're going to have more commercial success than like what Concord was terrible from Jump. I think Marathon's going to do considerably better, but I don't think it's going to last. I don't think it has staying power. I think it's a very, very adjacent and derivative game. I think people are going to play it, and they're going to be like, they're going to feel either that it's too familiar to hero shooters that they've played. They're not going to like the hero shooter element. They're not going to like the PvP element. They're not going to like Apex adjacency that it feels like. I don't think it's going to capture and keep people. I think people are going to get their money's worth. I think they're going to drop 40. They could play for a couple of weeks, have a good time, maybe a month. After that, I think so many people are just going to move on. I don't think it's going to capture and keep a very big player base. The difficulty is going to be knowing what's the threshold that is acceptable to Bungie. What's the threshold that's acceptable to Bungie? Because they are way too big of a company for this game to justify their existence. Like, I don't think this game is their next Destiny. I also really don't understand how they can tell Naughty Dog that if Naughty Dog wants to launch The Last of Us Factions, you got to turn yourself into a live service studio. Pete Parsons says, yeah, we drove the company into the red. We spun up too many incubation projects. You're about to be a 2-game studio. How's that going to work? Especially when each game is very adjacent to the other. Like, Marathon is certainly going to appeal to the PvP boys of Destiny. So what's the future of Destiny and Bungie? What's it look like? I just don't know. The whole thing, and there's something in the water beneath the murky surface that everybody keeps forgetting is just lingering there, and it's the impending threat of there was a fear at Bungie that the leadership just wanted to get this game out the door so that then they could leave and get their final payment from Sony. That's like still in the water, and everybody's forgotten about it. I can't see that being a good runway or a good morale boost for the launch of a game. There's a lot with this game that I'm telling you right now. My confidence in it is not moved. I'm like, yeah, you get people to pre-order it with Destiny incentives, your name, your Bungie after all. But if this is the next big Bungie game and this is where it's landing globally on Steam after 24 hours of pre-orders, man, I wouldn't be throwing confetti in the air just yet. They threw the marketing gauntlet at this thing. There were so many tweets, so many trailers, so many videos. And they're like, yeah, we'll give you stuff in Destiny if you pre-order. They go to an entrenched, established player base, and this is where you land? Globally on Steam? You're not even competing with anything right now. It's January the 20th. What are you competing with? I think they lost the public. They lost the reach. I think interest is significantly lower in this game. And right now you're seeing people that were probably already going to buy, or that were like, yeah, I'll take the incentives. I'll take the stuff. I don't know. I agree with much of what you're saying. Thank you. Your Bills lost. I feel my sister's a huge Bills fan. I felt bad for her. I don't understand how they can think building their player base out of Destiny players is a good idea. It's an interesting start. Technically, this stuff in Destiny is free. That's what I'm told. Huh? How is it free? I doubt Marathon gets more daily players on Steam than RE9. Sorry, I probably missed a lot being at work. 11 is still better than I thought Bungie would do. I'm not arguing that it's bad. I'm arguing that it's not as impressive as some people are thinking. It's literally competing with nothing. This is Bungie that we're talking about. This is Bungie. Bungie's next big thing dropped in a desert. There's nothing right now competing with it or rivaling. If you're wanting to pre-order a game, it's $40. I'm telling you, people that think it's, oh my gosh, it's top 5 on Steam in America. Globally, it's struggling to stay above, quarantine zone. Homies, right now, globally, Quarantine Zone and Warframe, I mean, Where Winds Meet, that kind of popped up as a live service, whatever. But Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, I don't know, man. We're talking about Bungie. We're not talking about some scrappy little studio trying to make a dent. We're talking about a studio with history and pedigree in the market. It'll be interesting to see how many streamers try it out again and see how they look at the game. Yeah, last year streamers moved on pretty quickly from it. We'll see. And the excuse was, well, there's nothing left to do. That's what a lot of the people that were kind of defending the game said. Well, there's nothing left to do. Nothing left to do. $40 makes it harder to climb the charts. You're right, it does. Quarantine Zone's $18. You want to rethink that? Quarantine Zone is less than half of the price of Marathon. And what's it got right now? It has 2,000 reviews. You want to rethink that? Like, you really think it's not above quarantine zone globally, y'all. Quarantine zone has 14,000 people playing it right now on Steam charts. That's how many people are playing Quarantine Zone. Does Quarantine Zone have microtransactions? I don't know. There's bundles. I don't see anything in the store. No, I don't think so. I'm not seeing anything. How do you check for microtransactions on Steam? Isn't it just like listed below as like additive content? I'm not seeing it. There's bundles and stuff. You can get it with like other games. That's an $18 game. Quarantine Zone sitting at number 9. Like, that's what I'm saying. That's the company that it's keeping right now. I'm not saying that it's bad. I'm saying I wouldn't celebrate this just yet. This is Bungie's latest game, y'all. Earlier today, it was in 13th place above Avatar Frontiers of Pandora, a game that's currently on sale, I think, because of the DLC that dropped or whatever. I don't even know how much the DLC is. It ain't more than Marathon, I don't think. Do you consider the difference between PC players, Steam, to actual console players? They're different realms? Sure. Yeah. Let folks be excited. Why? So, what would you have me do, TJ? Not say what I think? No, you guys are right. It's killing it right now. You go ahead. Throw your confetti, have your parties. No. You know me. I'm going to say what I think. I'm like, I think you guys are getting ahead of yourself, man. I wouldn't be throwing confetti in the air just yet. It's not that impressive given the studio's longevity and pedigree in the market. It does have microtransactions and a crossover bundle with Dead by Daylight. It's got 14,000 people playing it right now, Eugene. 14,000. Like, come on. They're outpacing Bungie's latest game, and there's like 14,000 people playing Quarantine Zone. What are we even talking about? And a 5-bomb comes in from Jack Garland, gets us to 81. See if we don't get our first 20 bomb of the week. Thank you, Jack, for setting it up. Is it fair to say the game will do okay for live service, just nowhere near where Bungie needs it to be? If it were like a brand new studio, yeah, possibly. I think Bungie needs it to do very well. People bought it for the crossover with Dead by Daylight. Dead by Daylight is a pretty popular game. You're not wrong. 52,000 people are playing it right now. Sure. So a long-standing game with 50,000 people playing it and a brand new game with 14,000 people playing it are outpacing a brand new Bungie game. That's all it takes. Straight Shot saying Quarantine Zone doesn't have microtransactions. He says I have it. So that was not accurate information according to someone who's actually playing it. Quarantine Zone, bundled with Dead by Daylight and a crossover with Dead by Daylight, is outpacing the brand new Bungie game globally on Steam. Come on, what are we talking about here? It's not out yet? Come on. Brother, it's not outpacing in the US? For sure. It's $40, makes it hard to climb the charts. Why is Arc Raiders at the top? Well, Arc Raiders has microtransactions in it. Yo, a VIP from Mike on the Mic says, what's up, fam? And then Broken Earth says, let's go, fellas. 2 renewals coming in. Thank you guys so much. The Dead by Daylight crossover is a microtransaction. Joseph Cross, the franchise art director of Marathon, says the studio took such a risk on this. The idea of studios funding unproven, unknown projects for 6 or 8 years for hundreds of millions of dollars. How much longer are things like this going to exist? I've been part of a couple of them now. They need this thing to go crazy. If what Joseph Cross is saying in his exit interview about Marathon is true, 6 to 8 years, hundreds of millions of dollars. I'm here to tell you they needed to outpace. They needed to outpace something like Quarantine Zone globally. This is Bungie after all. I feel like some of y'all did this with Concord. I feel like some of y'all listen, some of y'all did this last year and Bungie didn't agree with you. Some of y'all were in here talking about, well, people stopped streaming it because there really wasn't anything left to do. No, the game looks fun. People were having fun. It'll be fine. Apparently not, because they delayed the game. We had these same conversations with the same group of y'all last year, and you were insistent that you're wrong, Lono. It's looking good. They know what they're doing. You know, people were having fun. People stopped streaming it and playing it, and the player numbers dropped off because there wasn't anything to do. There's a lot of content we haven't seen yet. And I was like, okay, fine. And then Bungie was like, yeah, we delayed it. Concord didn't chart at all. Right, but I had similar conversations with people back then. It's fun. People are having fun. You know, you're just being a hater. And then just last year when we had all these conversations about Marathon, I had the same people saying the same things. This is Bungie we're talking about. This is Bungie. Their latest game has been pre-orderable for 24 hours, and it can't crack top 10 globally. And you're like, well, it's only $40, and that Quarantine game is attached to Dead by Daylight. So Dead by Daylight and an added game called Quarantine is outpacing a Bungie game globally, and you're like, yeah, that's completely understandable. What? Mind you, the Quarantine game is half the price, meaning to maintain its position, it's got to be selling twice as much. It's $20. Like, perspective. I'm just trying to give perspective. This is a brand new game for Bungie. They're getting outpaced globally by a $20 game that we've never even heard of until recently. And the Quarantine game only has like 14,000 people playing it right now. Perspective. How many people are actually pre-ordering Marathon if that's where it's sitting globally? It was bouncing all over the place, by the way. If you want to go Steam charts and you just want to count US and you're like, well, you know, Bungie has a larger audience in the US, it was bouncing all over the place on US. It was dropping below Warframe. It was hanging out down here with Kingdom Come and Quarantine Zone. Multiple times yesterday. I kept refreshing it. I kept checking it. You're putting Destiny-like expectations on a game in a niche genre? No, I'm not. I'm putting Bungie-like expectations on a Bungie game. They delayed it because of the stolen artwork. Do you really think that? That's not why. It wasn't ready. It clearly wasn't ready. They've made significant changes and updates. That's not why they delayed the game. The stolen artwork was a good, convenient patsy. Yo, my man Abe coming in with 57 months. Thank you. A gamer you play as a zombie TSA agent outpacing them. Yeah. You want to talk about niche game. Come on now. Come on now. What are we talking about? Ark is also an extraction shooter. I randomly remember Lona used to have long hair. Yeah, I did. It for most of COVID, it was in a ponytail, and it drove me crazy. I was so sick of it. I had it chopped in like 2021. To be fair, Queso's blowing that game up. There's 14,000 people playing it. Come on now. Come on. Come on now. Come on, dude. I don't know what to tell y'all. I don't know what to tell y'all, man. All I know is what I see. And what I see is the latest game from Bungie losing out to a game at half the price that has 14,000 people playing it right now. And they threw everything at this. They were doing constant tweets and videos, and then they give you pre-order incentives in the game, and they give you pre-order incentives inside of Destiny. And that's where it landed. All I'm saying is perspective. Perspective. Let me eat my cake. Why you gotta yuck my yum? If you think what I've done for the past 2.5 hours is yuck your yum, that's a you problem. I have yet to say that the game will suck or be lame or boring or whatever other word you want to say. I've not once said. I said this morning, honestly, if you're going to claim I'm yucking your yum, you're not listening, because I said I think most people will get their money out of it. I do. I think you'll get your money's worth out of it. $40. If you play it for 2 or 3 weeks and have a ball with your buddies, I think you got $40 worth of time out of it. You're just messing around. Okay, all right. I was going to say, I'm not yucking anybody's yum. I even said this morning, I was like, I think a lot of you are going to get your money's worth out of it. I don't know if you're going to have a vibrant player base in 6 months, but I think a lot of you can get your money's worth out. $40 ain't too bad. You put a couple weeks in. Once you cross the 20 or 30 hour mark, I think you've gotten your $40 worth. The average $60 or $70 single player game is 20, 30 hours if you're lucky. Some of them are even lower than that. They removed her direct references. They did not remove everything they took or were influenced. Listen, she might even get attribution. We don't know. She might even get attribution. We don't know. For $1 per hour, Arc fell off for me, but I played 44 hours, so I owe them money. That's right. Pay up. What you doing? Square it with the house. Lona will enjoy playing day 1, day 31. Doubt it. That's what I'm saying, Omar. The game's got 14,000 people playing it. Its all-time peak is 31,000. It didn't go viral. You see what I'm saying, Omar? These homies ain't seeing the forest for the trees. They're looking at a birdhouse saying it's a mansion. I'm like, what the huh? I was like, Quarantine Zone didn't even go viral. It's $20. It's $20. It's half the cost of Marathon. It's outpacing the game globally. It was hanging out with it in the US for a while yesterday. What are we even talking about? This is the latest Bungie game. Yo, it's good, Igor. If I don't get 7,000 hours, it wasn't worth it. Said like a true Destiny fan. This game sucks until I hit the 7,000th hour, and only then will I have got my money's worth out of it. And by then, I will have such a deep loathing and hatred for the game, I will talk about it like the worst ex-wife ever. Like a true Destiny fan. What's Crowded House saying? You got Creature out here swinging. What's going on here? I don't even see Crowded House talking. What's he talking? What's he saying? He said, her text? Yes, they did. You're an unhinged liar. You think all they borrowed from her was her text? You work at Bungie? This man says all her text. That's all they stole from her? Yo, a single gift that comes in from my man Dean Bromley, getting us to 85. To be on pace, we want to end the day at 200. Let's see if we can do it. Let's make a run, Twitch. Let's make a run, YouTube. Who's winning right now? Oh, Twitch, you're getting beat up here. Come on now. Single comes in. Another single comes in from Dean Bromley. He's like, come on, boys. Let's start it. My man said her text. Yep, and symbols. Do you work there? I don't need to work there. I got eyes. I got eyes, brother. They took more than text, and Siege Master comes in with a 5-bomb. Thank you very much. Gets us to 91. Brother, it was more than text. Homie, they stole entire, asset pieces from her, and they forgot to remove her dadgum name. Her name was in the game. You want to tell me that they just stole text? Brother, listen to what I'm saying to you. Her name was in the game. That's how widespread the theft of her stuff was. They just lifted stuff and put it into the game. Nobody was like, what's anti-real? Oh, shut the frick up. Put it in there. They stole text. They settled with her out of court, and you think they stole some text. Jiminy Christmas. It's like I'm playing cards with my brother's kids. That's what I'm talking about. Brother, they took way more than some text. Her vibe, her feel, her color palette, all of it got lifted from her stuff. It wasn't just like some decals. Gee-many, do you want to know why they settled with her out of court? It wasn't because they stole a couple text things or fonts from her. It's because she is quite literally interwoven into the entire DNA of the game's art direction. They paid her money. Brother, go and look at her stuff, and then go and look at Marathon. The shape of Marathon's own font, the color palette, the vibe, the feel, the entire art direction springboarded off of her work. Have you looked at her stuff? She didn't get a settlement out of court because they stole some text from her. Ain't no way. They settled out of court because she'd have taken them to the cleaners. She'd have taken them to the cleaners. Have you done any research on her on that art style? Okay, she doesn't have all claim to that art style. Brother, if you go look at everything she's got and then you look at Marathon, you can't say that they were like, yeah, we really like this art style, and then we just happened to find her stuff that was extremely similar. You've got it backwards if I've ever seen anybody get a situation backwards. The freaking guy that they fired was following her on Twitter. And this isn't the first time you're talking about somebody that is known for stealing. Known for stealing. You know what show I'm watching right now? I'm watching The Wire. And Bubs is a criminal informant. And Bubs is an addict. And he's stealing all of the time because he wants to buy drugs. So, anytime you see Bubs, you know he's doing something. He's looking for copper piping. He's trying to steal from an electronics store, right? He has a history of theft. Would you leave money on the table in front of Bubs? Probably not. Bungie is Bubs. They have a history of stealing from the public. Just straight up yanking people's stuff and put it into their game. This isn't the first time. So you're giving them an awful lot of leeway here and trust to be like, yeah, I think that they just took some text and some font from her. That's like being like, yeah, I'm missing a bunch of silver and fine china from my house. I don't think it was Bubs. I just think he stole the pocket watch. What the frick? Like, huh? No. This is a studio with a history of theft. They've done it how many times? This isn't the only court case they've been in for stealing. The frickin' Red War case. What are you talking about? I don't know why anybody would give them an inch of trust on this. To be like, oh, they stole some text. They stole some fonts. Get the frick out of here. Bungie is Bubs. Hey, now, Bubs wasn't a bad guy. Listen, I love Bubs. We all love Bubs. He's the man. He's also an addict and a thief. Both can be true. Lono, stay off them phones. No more pay phones. Marathon's the 5th time on record. That's what I'm saying. Why would you give these guys an inch of trust? Stringer was the man. He's great. He's applying. I love how he's applying like his economic education to slinging heroin. The price of the brick just went up. Omar coming. That's right. I'm just kidding. It's all in the game. We can love him and still know he has his problems. That's right. Imagine shutting D1 servers and a week later bringing people back to play D1, delete all their characters and stuff. Lono would be Stringer, Creatures Avon. Shut the frick up. Shut the frick up. I'm not any of those guys. My favorite scene in Lance Raider is like, this is some bullshit. He got so mad in that one scene. Oh, it was so good. He stood up. This is some bull. He has such a way of talking. Man, he'll be missed. Just how successful does this game have to be? I don't know. I think the assumption that too many people are making is that Bungie plans for it to be successful. You hear me? You hear me on that? Like, I don't think that's a good assumption to make. You think Bungie wants this game to be successful and long-standing? Why are we assuming that, given everything we've heard about its development and given everything we've heard about, like, the leadership? I don't know, dude. I don't know. Weebay, my dude. It's such a deep cast. You know what's amazing? Anytime you're on Twitter, how often animated GIFs come from that show. Like that one Weebay one, I knew it was coming. I was like, here it comes. He's going to like grab his face. Oh, I was trying to find one of it, but I couldn't. You just hit me with an isekai truck of what? So what? Explain now. Okay, so the runway to just think about the runway of this game's development. Okay, let's just go all the way back. According to Dr. Lupo, as early as 2018, he was at Bungie playing some version of this game. Now, it is my theory, which I think is a pretty good theory. It's my theory that Anon the Nine's leak about Destiny 3 having PvPvE areas, that's what I believe they were testing when Lupo first went. Some mode, something. Somewhere along the line, they decide we don't want to do Destiny 3, and they start spinning up incubation projects. You got Payback, you got Gummy Bear, you got Marathon. Marathon is them slicing that off and saying, let's make this its own thing. Okay? Now, Marathon goes through some tumultuous development. We hear that the leadership is ignoring the people at the company. They're ignoring the people saying this needs PvE. The old guard, as they're called, or old uniforms is another great term these people like to throw around, right? The old guard is ignoring that feedback. Then Christopher Barrett is quietly fired, and people at the company say later they don't even know why he's gone. They didn't know. I mean, some of them did, but a lot of them didn't. You put Ziegler in charge. Ziegler comes from Riot. He changes the direction of the game. So now they've been in development all this time. It was sliced off. They're ignoring feedback about PvE. You switch to leadership. You switch direction to, at the time, we were told they were going to move away from a customizable character to a cast of heroes, which made us all go, what? Like, the response was immediately negative. When that story broke, go look at Twitter, go look at the feeds, go look at the YouTube videos. It was negative. So now they're changing verbiage and phraseology because, hero shooter stigmatized. So these aren't heroes, or they're not even characters anymore. They went from characters with names to classes that they renamed, and yet these classes look an awful lot like characters. They look an awful lot like named heroes. Oh, but you're not a hero. You're putting on a shell. Okay, fine, I guess. We also hear, while all this is going on, that they were fearful at the company that the leadership was just shoving this out the door so they could ship it before they get their final payment from PlayStation in 2026, and then the leadership's going to leave in droves. That's a growing fear at the company. We hear this from IGN. Their showcase goes over horribly. They basically showcase an alpha, publicly viewable, the streams, all of it. It goes so bad. I told y'all, I was like, they are going to delay this game. There is no way this game comes out on time. Public reception is too poor. Now, I went further than that, and I said, I think they're going to quietly cancel it. I don't think the market is receptive to this right now. I don't think they have a winning product here. That was incorrect. They're shipping this son of a gun. It's coming out in 2 months. But those are all of the things that have led to this moment. And in the last year, they made the game look better. They settled an art scandal. And largely, the gameplay loop hasn't changed. It's still very much abilities influencing the flow, very Apex adjacent, PvP-focused extraction shooter. So you're going to watch that train trundle along and shake and vibrate and almost wreck, and you're like, no, this game's got what it takes to go the distance. And then it's sitting on the Steam charts globally behind a $20 game that is basically got max of 31,000 players concurrent, currently about 14 to 15,000 people playing it, and Marathon globally, the next big thing from Bungie, on pre-order Steam charts is hanging out below like a $20 game that we've never even really heard of, and currently only has 14,000 people playing it. But y'all think, after all of that this game's on its way to being great and big, and I should be optimistic, and I should let people be excited. Huh? What? It's like lining your yard with red flags and being like, what's the problem? Just come up to the door. There's no mines in my front yard. Like, huh? There's so many red flags here. Again, the game's not out yet. What's that have to do with anything? We're talking about public interest. We're talking about a live service game, man. We're talking about a game where you need a big and a full funnel. Like, I don't see it. I don't see it. Marathon had almost 500,000 people try and get into the crappy alpha. You may be underestimating it a bit. What are you talking about? The funnel will grow? You're comparing it to a game that's out? Okay. Sure. That's fine. A game that's out and only has 14,000 people currently playing it. It's half the price, which means it needs to be selling twice as many copies to stay ahead of a $40 marathon. It's revenue based. I don't know. I don't know, dude. How do you explain Destiny classes then? You wouldn't say Destiny's a hero shooter, even though the classes are structured exactly like Marathon. How are they different? Well, that's an excellent question. My response is another question. What's the number one complaint about Destiny's PvP over the course of the 10 years? What's the flat tire that always rears its head? What is it? It's the abilities. Always has been, always will. You had those stupid solar grenades in Destiny 1. You could hit a corner with them and kill somebody. Stasis was a nightmare. Like, the abilities. Now, yes, there were guns over the years that were a menace. You know, there was a time where the Thorn was OP as heck in D1, and then there was laser tag, right? But the abilities were a more consistent flat tire. Your ability to kill somebody very quickly with a grenade, or absolutely obliterate people with a super, or stasis shutting people's movement down in Volition now. So you've got to think. You don't, like I said, I don't even care about arguing whether or not it's a hero shooter anymore. You call it whatever you want. Call it a class-based extraction shooter. Go ahead, fam. You go right ahead. I won't stop you. I don't need to call it a hero shooter. I know exactly how those abilities will be used, and I know exactly how those abilities will be experienced. We've been here before. Remember when the guy yells in Squid Games, "I played these games before"? We have played these games before. We have played games with wall hacks and really strong abilities and tracking abilities and verticality abilities and grapple hooks like Apex. Like, a lot of these abilities, we've seen them in Apex. A lot of these abilities, we've seen them in Destiny. And in a PvP environment, I don't care what you call them. Classes, shells, you call them whatever. It doesn't matter. The terminology doesn't have a bearing on the experience. It doesn't. You could convincingly argue that Valorant is not a hero shooter. You could really argue it and really make your points well and, you know, have charts and all sorts of stuff. Doesn't matter. When you play it, you're going to be like, this feels an awful lot like a hero shooter. Do you see? Like, it really, really comes down to the experience. I don't think it comes down to terminology. I don't think it ever will. Like, you didn't have to call Destiny a hero shooter for people to say that Stasis sucked and they hated it in PvP. I forget the name of those solar grenades in Destiny 1 that made everybody insane. Because as soon as you knew somebody was on a corner, you could hit the corner with the grenade and the tick damage was absurd. Yeah, Firebolts. Thank you, Unwound. I could not think of the name. Firebolts were a menace. Right? It doesn't matter if you call it a hero shooter or you call it a Destiny class-based RPG shooter. It doesn't matter. The abilities were still just as irritating. They aren't reinventing the wheel. You don't got to play it to see how it'll be used. That's right. You listen to people that are excited about this. You listen to the Destiny boys talk about it. Buddy, they're going to have guide videos up faster than you can say hero shooter, and that metagaming is gonna descend. Always does. Metagaming descended on Arc Raiders. I mean, you had people running around with those trigger nades and all kinds of other nonsense. Look at how fast metagaming shows up in any game, and nobody's immune to it. Nobody. People are trying to make the hero shooter claim stick to Marathon when it straight up doesn't make sense when you look one layer deep. Yeah, I've given up arguing that. I don't care. Because people will split 8 hairs to try to make an argument that it's not. And it's like, that's fine then. You can keep saying that, but no one has an argument to prove it, even Lono. I actually think I have a very strong argument, and I think people argue semantics and argue particulars which is a form of special pleading. I don't think anybody has argued strongly at all that it's not a hero shooter. I don't think anybody has. Oh, you can modify their abilities. Okay, the base abilities are still there, though. Their influence over the match is still there. Their potency is still there. People that are excited about the game are having like Freudian slips, and they're referring to things as ultimates or characters or heroes. Like, everybody's slipping up. Like I said, you can argue all you want that it's not a hero shooter. That's fine. I know exactly how people are going to experience it. I know exactly how people are going to use these abilities. I've watched these types of games come and go in the market time and time again, and this type of thing always leads to metagaming, busted builds, and no one's going to be like, it's fine though because it's not a hero shooter. Cross was halfway through the latest marathon vid before he started crafting meta builds. That's right. Meta crafting team builds. That's right. Like, if it lands in the way that I think it's going to land, no one's going to be like, it's fine. It's not a big deal. I don't care. It's okay. It doesn't bother me because it's not a hero shooter. That's not going to make one lick of a difference. It's not like people are going to be able to like lick their wounds if they're annoyed or not having a good time, or they feel like abilities are spamming up the joint. They're going to be like, well, at least it's not a hero shooter. All I did was point out that Destiny isn't considered a hero shooter, and you started talking about abilities. If you can't call Destiny hero shooter, then Marathon isn't one either. No, that would be a false equivalency because they're completely different games. They're completely different games. You're making Destiny and Marathon equivalent. In order for your arguments to make sense, you have to argue that Destiny and Marathon are equivalent to each other, and they're not. They're not. So the premise of your argument is unproven, and if you attempt to prove it, I don't think you can. I don't think you can argue that Destiny and Marathon are equivalent to each other. You have to do that before you arrive at your conclusion. Destiny Guardians never had set names. He would say they were classes, and he would be right. Titan, Hunter, and Warlock. And he's saying these are classes in the same way. How are the classes different? They have abilities, uniques, unique sets, lets and passive. I can argue it. They were originally called characters. Before that, they were called heroes. So they went from heroes to characters to classes. So the name changed, but what they have didn't change. They literally say that some of these are designed to be the tank or the whatever. It's literally like what you would do in a hero-based shooter. You're like, well, I'm going to run tank. I'm going to run medic. I'm going to run support. They're literally talking about it as if when you pick that class, you run that role in the game, which is just like what you do in a hero-based shooter. Like, I don't know. They were all about having character names and having them look like heroes until hero shooter became stigmatized. And now all of a sudden we're like splitting hairs and be like, well, no, it's not. Characters have distinct visuals and backstories that make them a specific character. Distinct visuals? Do you want to watch the runner video again? I mean, I'll grant your point. You're right. They do have distinct visuals. You want to open up a video? You're not going to like what they say because they have distinct visuals. They even say the one guy's got armor from the original, game or something. They reference armor, the Mjolnir armor or whatever. They have distinct visuals. What are you talking about? Marvel Rivals has distinct visuals, and then you can get their buns out. You can customize the way these guys look, but they still have distinct visuals. Heroes typically have backgrounds or lore. Typically, but I don't know. One homie's literally got Mjolnir armor from the, inspired by the original game. I don't know. I don't know, man. I don't know if anybody's going to play this game and be like, well, they're classes, when someone wall hacks them or sends a drone around the corner that freezes them where they stand, or they grappling hook to some high location that nobody can else get to. I don't think anybody's going to be like, it's okay. It's okay. I know you're raging out, Steve, but it's not a hero shooter. Come on. You can't change your weapons. No. I'm not saying it's equivalent to Marvel Rivals. I'm just saying I was speaking specifically to customizing your look. You can customize your look in hero shooters like a Marvel Rivals. You can customize your look in Marathon, but they have distinct visuals. They look a certain way. They do. See, what I think people are doing is, you're saying in order for it to be a hero shooter, it has to match perfectly with other hero shooters. And I don't think that's a legitimate argument. Maybe I won't say legitimate. I'll say compelling. I don't think it's very compelling. If it departs in any way from Rivals, you're like, not a hero shooter. And I'm like, oh, okay. So you can change your weapons, so it's not a hero shooter. Okay, got it. You can change your weapons in Apex. So is Apex Legends not a hero shooter? You can use any weapon you want in Apex. Right? Do you see? The argument it's not very compelling, because I can go to another example in another game. Valorant. You're not locked to weapons in Valorant, and yet we would look at Valorant and say, that's a hero shooter. So being able to change your weapons, I mean, that distinction within Marathon doesn't divorce it from where it's clearly borrowing a lot of its mechanics and ideas. It seems more class than hero shooter. The thing I've conceded multiple times this morning, Eugene, is it just feels like a hybrid. Trying to draw this hard line to be like, it's not a hero shooter. I'm like, ugh, it's so stinking close. It's so close. It's like a big giant truck with a huge extended cab, and you're like, it's kind of an SUV with a bed. Like, it's not an SUV, but boy, oh boy, does it look like a lot of the SUVs that are out there, right? Like, that's not the best example, but like, it is so dadgum close. It's almost like a hybrid. It's like classes that are very hero shooter inspired. Because, buddy, their abilities, again, I just keep coming back to the potency of it. The potency argument to me is significant. It's like, they're so potent. You can see through the daggum walls. You can send a drone around the corner. You can freeze people where they stand. You can grapple to locations that nobody else can get to unless they pick that class. Boy, oh boy, does that sound an awful lot like hero shooters that I've played. Oh, but these are classes. Who the frick cares what you call them? They really feel like heroes to me. Gandalf says, what are the mechanic and gameplay differences between classes and shooter or hero shooter? They look about the same to me. If I steelman the argument, Gandalf, they would say it's a class because you can modify the abilities. The abilities aren't static. I'm like, it's still a default canvas that you're dealing with. Like if you went into like Apex, for example, and you could modify those abilities, I don't think we would suddenly say, yep, it's not a hero shooter. Like, it would still be, at its core, a hero shooter just because you can modify the abilities. That's generally what they would say. Oh, that's more of a class. You have, like, a set of abilities, but then you can kind of tweak them and modify them and augment them to your liking, and then you can use whatever weapon you want. Therefore, they would say it's class-based. And I'm like, okay, it's so close, it's like a hybrid. Hero shooters, you're typically stuck with a specific kit. Typically, except for two of the biggest and most popular ones, Valorant and Apex. Sure. You have no customization. Yes, except for in Valorant and Apex, two of the most popular hero shooters out there. Oh, and you can modify the abilities in Apex, I'm being told. I didn't realize that. I didn't play a whole lot of Apex back in the day. Oh, you can also do that in Overwatch. Looks like the ground is really shifting on what a hero shooter can be. Apex, you can't customize anything. You can use any gun you want in Apex. I'm not stuck with the specific kit. I can use any gun that I want. You can use any gun that you want in Marathon. What do you mean? When you said kit, that's what I assumed you meant. I assume you're referring to weapons, your kit, all of your stuff. Overwatch just recently added that. It almost seems like we don't have a firm, immovable definition or concrete thing of what a hero shooter is. It's almost like there's a lot of different iterations of what a hero shooter is. You got Apex, you got Valorant, you got Overwatch, you got Rivals. Boy, oh boy, Marathon's sitting there real adjacent to all the stuff those games are doing. And for some strange reason, people are like, no, 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 this is not a hero shooter. Okay. I don't know if the public's going to think like that. I don't know if the public's known for nuance and careful categorization of games. I don't think the gaming public's known for that. So I think a lot of people are just going to say it's a hero shooter, or it feels like a hero shooter, or it looks like one, or it plays like one. We don't have you're saying typical this and typical that and what they typically do. There is no typical hero shooter anymore. There isn't. If they're changing the way abilities can be modified in games like Apex and Overwatch, what are we even talking about? The sands are shifting. It's not a rigid category. It never really has been a rigid category. If you can go from Overwatch to Apex and basically say that they're hero shooters and yet they're completely different games, and then go into Valorant and try to tell me we've got bright lines here of like what a hero shooter is or isn't. We don't have bright lines. We've got a very, very nebulous shifting thing. What I find more interesting is that people are so insistent that this is not one because you know what that means. You know what people think. You know what people feel when they play games like this. Then we're just talking vibes? Okay, let's talk vibes. It's got hero shooter vibes. It's got hero shooter vibes. And people have decided they don't really like hero shooter vibes. I don't know. It's risky. It's risky. Do you want to know what I think happened? I think your boy from Riot came over. And I think he said, listen, what made Valorant work is we brought something that people are familiar with and we spiced it up. We said, okay, let's take hero shooter and let's just throw it into a game like CSGO. And he said, extraction shooters, let's spice it up. Let's bring heroes to it. I think that's what happened. I do. I think that homie walked in the room and thought, listen, this really, really helped us with iteration and creativity. It really gave us a winning hook with Valorant. Let's do the same thing with Marathon. People play Apex and Valorant. People don't like hero shooters. So, lots of people play Fortnite, Warzone, and Apex. Okay? What do you think happens if you try to come up with a battle royale right now? What do a lot of people say? Oh, man, we already have battle royales. We have so many battle royales. Really, another battle royale? It's not that we're not saying gamers don't play them. We're saying the general public is like, we've got enough hero shooters. We're sick of hero shooters. Look at the response. As soon as people saw High Guard, where people are like, well, let's give it a shot. They were like, another hero shooter. Like, it's kind of like when those battle royales kept coming out and they kept dying very quickly. People were just kind of like, really? Another one? Another one? Like, really? Like, oh. It's kind of the same thing. I just think you hit a saturation point where the people that want to play Apex are playing Apex and Valorant and what have you. And if you're trying to get new people to play Marathon, you know what a lot of them are going to say? They're like, yeah, I tried that game. No, you didn't. You didn't try Marathon. I mean, I basically did. Like I basically did. I played a game where they had a lot of those kind of abilities. But then why Why buy Bungie, which makes shooters? I don't understand your question, Momo. Or Mohez. I'm not sure how to say your name. Why can't people play new games? Tons of single-player games come out. Why do we need more single-player games? We played them all before. You honestly think single-player games coming out and needing somebody to buy them and play them to completion in order to, make money and have a satisfied customer base, you think that's equivalent to a live service game? So, Control Resonance going to come out. I'm going to play it. I'm probably primed to really enjoy it. 20 or 30 hours later, maybe even more. I don't know. Maybe I just go crazy like I did with Yote. I get 50 or 60 hours, right? It's awesome. You think that's equivalent to trying to get a player base to come, stay, and continue to engage with a live service game? Do you honestly think those things are equal? I'm not saying you can't bring a new live service game to the market. Marvel Rivals, Arc Raiders, and Helldivers prove that you can. None of those games, well, Rivals could be accused of being derivative, but it had Marvel in its corner, and it had some big old cheeks in its corner that really helped it do very well. But Arc Raiders was certainly not, you couldn't accuse it of being derivative, and neither could you do Helldivers 2. I'm not saying new live service games can't come out. I said this earlier. The absolute biggest way to set your live service game up to fail is to be too derivative. The minute you feel derivative and familiar, people are going to go, I can go play, I can kind of play something like this in Apex. I'm just going to go play this. I'm just going to go back to what I was already playing. So much of your target audience is already playing something. Helldivers 2 is very derivative? Really? What game is it derivative of? What game have you ever done what you do in that game where you bring down these things from the sky to either rain fire on the aliens or equip me with a new weapon? I don't think I've ever played a game like that before. What? Its whole virality is based on another IP? Oh, so you're using derivative with respect to it derived its identity from Starship Troopers, which, that's actually a great point in my argument. It was derived from something that really wasn't in the market. Was there some really popular market for Starship Trooper style games? Was there? No. But it was something that gave it a humor and a touch point of identity for people to laugh at, but the gameplay loop wasn't derivative. You're jumping categories on me. Being a Starship Troopers knockoff because of the movie is certainly true. That's not what I'm talking about. Go back to what I said. When you're derivative, people will say, man, this feels familiar. I feel like I've played this before. And if they're coming, your target audience is largely already engaged in an extraction shooter, a battle royale, or some type of PvP game. And if your game feels derivative of anything from that category, guess what? You're just motivating them to go back home. They're going to compare you to what they've played. They've got sunk cost. They've got a bunch of stuff and money that they spent. They're going to go back home. When I said derivative, I wasn't referring to the identity of something. Yes, Helldivers is derivative from an IP called Starship Troopers, but the gameplay loop wasn't really derivative of anything I had been played before. Helldivers is a horde mode with armaments. Played it before on Gears. That has got to be one of the most reductionist things I've ever heard anybody say about Helldivers. You played that game before on Gears. Sure you did. A roaming open world with vehicles and armaments and big, huge bombs going off. You played that in Gears. Okay. I played an awful lot of Gears back in the day. I played an awful lot of Beast Mode, and I played an awful lot of Horde with my boys. Helldivers didn't remind me of that game one lick. They are very different. Horde, as an idea, sure, you could say it derived the idea of like a horde that continually attacks you while you're trying to do something. But those games are not even in the same ballpark. Not at all. Where do you take that next? I'm not sure what you mean. Helldivers did exactly what it set out to do. It made a fun knock-around co-op game to play with the boys. They just got a lot more boys that play the game than they originally thought they were going to get, and it was very successful. But even Helldivers runs out of gas after new content. Why? Because what you're saying at some level is true. It's horde. It's just enemies and enemies and enemies and enemies. And eventually people are like, okay, I've done enough. I'm going to move on. But it was very successful. Why? There really wasn't anything in the market like it. How long had it been since there had been like a really popular Gears of War horde mode that had a ton of people playing it? Do you see what I'm saying? The market right now is full of games that have abilities, shooting, movement, and ideas, and feel, and vibe. There's so many games in the market right now that check a lot of the boxes that I'm seeing in Marathon. That's the point that I'm making. It is a saturated market. If you're derivative of a market that's already really saturated, that's the problem. Oh, it's derivative of Starship Troopers. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about deriving your identity from an existing IP. I'm talking about, wow, a lot of those abilities look like things I can do in Apex. Wow, the movement and the gunplay looks an awful lot like Apex. Wow, some of these movements and motions and things you can do with abilities stuff looks a lot like Destiny. Do you see? When you're derivative of a game right now, especially Destiny, that's largely run its course in many people's minds, or derivative of something that has really done a good job puncturing into a saturated market like Apex and still doing well and still getting lots of people to play it, that's going to work against you. Any game can be derivative. So many games check experiences that I played before. Doesn't mean I won't play it. I feel like a lot of times in these arguments, you guys end up shadowboxing. I've not once said that people won't play it. I've said that people will be like, I can go play this elsewhere. It leads to an expeditious exit. It's like, why I've got a game I can play like this. You need this game to replace something that somebody's already playing. And when you're derivative of a game they're already playing, you just made it more difficult for that to happen. Do you see the argument that I'm making? I'm not saying that they won't. I'm saying it's more difficult. That seems like a very fair point for me to make. Very fair. If you are coming into a market and somebody's going to come from a game to try your game, and you need to at some level replace the thing they're playing, and you're derivative of the thing they're playing, buddy, it's a lot harder. It's way harder for you to replace the game they're playing. Look at all the games that came out that looked and felt an awful lot like Fortnite. What happened? Nobody stayed. Why? I can go play Fortnite. You agree with that? Okay, there we go. I am not trying to say nobody will play it. I'm not trying to say nobody will stick with it. I'm saying they've made their job all the more harder because of how derivative they are. The same thing happened with Concord to an extreme degree. Like, nobody even bought that, right? It flopped, like, within days. We knew that thing was cooked. But it was the same idea. It was like, it's all Destiny stuff. It just looked like Destiny movement and shooting and map design. And it was another hero shooter. Same thing's happening with High Guard. People are like, you want to know what's in Marathon's corner? IP and developer pedigree. I mean it. It's IP and developer pedigree. If Marathon was coming out of left field with a different name from some other unknown studio, I don't think we'd be having this debate. I think we'd be going, well, it's another High Guard. It's another Concord. This game is getting an awful lot of trust and an awful lot of buy-in from developer pedigree and history. And, they've got people in Destiny that have been kind of dying for a PvP game, and, they're giving you incentives to pre-order inside of Destiny. I think a lot of what is behind Marathon having a chance is the pedigree of the developer behind it. I look at it next to any single player game. Since we're in an era of attention, it's why it's so hard to convince people to buy games today. That's precisely what I'm talking about. We live in an economy of attention. Guess what happens? Have you ever looked at the completion percentages, dudeness? Have you been here when we talked about that? Like a single player game will sell like 5 million copies and like 10 to 15% of the people that buy it roll credits. Does that matter to the developer? It might matter a little bit because it might be less conducive to sell those people DLC, sequels, or microtransactions. It might matter. But in general, does it matter? If somebody got halfway through and had a good time? Probably not. They got money. And they know a lot of these people won't roll credits, but they'll still buy the next game. Nobody finishes them. Okay, right. Okay, so we're on the same page. Now, take that and bring that behavior over to a live service game. It's a dangerous trend because you don't just need people to buy Marathon for $40 and be like, well, it's okay if they don't really go the distance. It's okay if they put it down in a couple of weeks. No. No. You need to come back again and again and again. I think the tide has shifted sharply. It's a lot harder to catch the current. You can catch it. Arc Raiders caught the current and is soaring. You can catch the current. I think it's harder than it's ever been. It's really, really hard to get momentum and to keep people in a live service game right now. I think it's very difficult. The attention economy is a real thing. I mean, you got platforms that are vying for attention. You got social media vying for attention. You got, sub-services and TV shows and every free-to-play game on this side of eternity, as well as mobile games. I mean, it is just so tough out there. It's why I think globally, I don't think people are biting just yet. It's why Marathon's sitting in 12th place on Steam globally for pre-orders. I think people are hesitant right now. They're like, do I really want another game to buy and live in? I'm enjoying Arc Raiders. I already bought it. This game or that game is free. I think that it's incredibly difficult. And I think what constantly has gotten lost in this debate is people think I'm hating. I'm saying it's going to flop. I'm saying it's DOA. And I'm like, no. I'm saying they won't get enough re-engagement. That's the big challenge. And if this is your pre-order launch and this is your starting funnel, oh, buddy, are you in trouble. Because if Rivals can go from here to here, that slope hits everybody. That slope hits everybody. It's going to hit you too. So the smaller that you get at the beginning, the more painful that slope's going to be. Like, imagine you hit 1 million concurrent players in your brand new game, and that's going to slope down to a core of 100,000 concurrents or something like that. That's a big slope, but that's generally how it goes. Right? Well, that slope is facing every live service game. So if your funnel looks like this, my hands are a lot closer together. Oof. The slope's steeper too, isn't it? Like, I think the analogy really holds. When you go like this, the slope's not as steep. It can take a little bit longer. Maybe your friends play for a little bit longer. Maybe the matchmaking's better. Maybe, more of your buddies are playing. Man, when that funnel's like that, whew, it can be so fast. It can just boom to the floor. It's like, well, not enough people are playing. There's minimum player engagement numbers that these games need to hit. We're also just after Christmas and folks are getting new games. By mid-February, it might be a different story as to why folks are drying up a bit. So I think by then we have a more realistic view. I think the other issue, though, Gandalf, is it's not competing with anything right now. It's not like there's a bunch of things that you can pre-order or spend money on. Marathon's number 3 and 4 on the PS5 pre-order charts. Yeah, for sure. But again, that's well timed with what I'm saying. It's not really competing with anything right now. Do you see? It's Bungie's next big thing, and it can't even snag first place on PlayStation. Like, it's not competing with anything. Resident Evil's huge. The last game sold like 15 million copies. But still. Lono, can you explain to folks listening at my job why Destiny 2 players playing Marathon may not be the best? D2 players will probably bleed the game dry in a week and two and then bail. Oh, there are so many behavioral patterns within Destiny that are not ideal for those folks to come and play. One of those being they're delaying Destiny content so that they don't want to step on Marathon. They want to kind of open the door for Marathon. Well, what do you think is going to happen to Marathon, to anybody who comes over from Destiny when Destiny does add content? Creates a player-based seesaw. Secondly, yes, I think player-based behavioral of Destiny players, it's a lot like saying, we're going to try and make something that can go into the water and survive, and it's piranha-infested waters. Like, that's the Destiny player base. They're piranhas. I remember when Division 1 did this. They marketed their game, and they were like, oh yeah, it blows Destiny out of the water. The quote was actually that the beta of Division blew Destiny's beta out of the water. More people played the Division beta. It was a terrible comparison, but Buddy the Division capitalized on it, threw it in their marketing. That was a bad idea. That was a bad idea. You don't want to be like, hey, y'all like Destiny? You should come play our game. And they're like, really? It's just like a horde of zombie-like piranhas. They just consume the game, and then they're spitting the bones out on the other side, and they're like, what's there left to do? Like, woof. The other thing you got to consider, this is a whole other arm of Destiny engagement and behavioral patterns. Destiny PvP players are some of the quickest to run sweaty meta builds while moaning about sweaty meta builds, and it's so cannibalistic and so toxic, and they're so known for it. I lost track of how many times I watched trial streamers running with sweaty players and sweaty builds complaining about sweaty players running sweaty meta builds. It was just like, huh? It's like going to a bowling alley and complaining about people throwing balls. It's like, you're doing the same thing. What are you do? Huh? What are you here for? Like, everybody's doing the same thing. I tried to explain it to my son. He's playing Fortnite, and he gets killed right away. Doesn't really have a kit to speak of, and he's mad that the guy killed him. He's like, I didn't even have a gun. And I was like, buddy, you'd have done the same thing. You're all in there trying to do the same thing. And he's like, you're right. And I kind of teased him. I kind of laughed with him. I was trying to lighten the mood. I was like, homie, you'd have done the same thing. What are you gonna show restraint in a battle royale? Huh? Not in my house. That's gay. I'm just kidding. Like, you're not gonna show restraint in a battle royale. You're not. It's like, so I told him, I was like, come on, man, you'd have done the same thing. I think that player base and how they trend and how they play, I think yes, a lot of those PvP players are going to come over. The meta builds are going to descend, and I think that's a quick route for people being annoyed and feeling like it's very cannibalistic. The difference between Destiny and Marathon is the meta builds are harder to keep because you lose your stuff. It's kind of like a rogue. You go back in and restart the run and build out something new. There's a big concern there that nobody's really talked about, dudeness. There's a big concern there. And it's that the rich are going to get richer. Imagine being on your back foot. You're kind of in that starting over phase. And you're going in and these homies are stacked, man. They got all their stuff. They got a killer build. It's a quick exit. It's a quick exit for a lot of players, I think. Really easy to be like, yeah, I'm out. I don't want to deal with this. Lost my stuff. Now I got to go back in. I'm dealing with people that are basically already kind of sitting high on the hog. I am out. What if they have gear-based matchmaking? There's that pendulum. That sounds like a good idea. Doesn't it? Sounds like, what about, we'll do gear-based. Then you're gonna have people feeling like they don't get to reap the benefits of having a good kit, because as soon as they get a good kit, they're going into servers where everybody has a good kit, and it's gonna feel like sweaty skill-based matchmaking funnel. Man, I finally got a good kit and I didn't really get to enjoy it. It threw me into a server and everybody had a good kit. Everybody was stacked. I didn't really get a sense of power fantasy. Do you see? We're talking about wrestling an anaconda in the dark, brother. Pause. I'm serious. This is a monster that you're going to try to wrestle in the dark. It's so difficult to make something like this work. It's so difficult. And listen, I'm here to tell you, man, Bungie doesn't have a track record of managing this stuff well. They don't. They got so tired of metagaming that they just said, yeah, we like to have seasons of dominance with our weapons and our abilities. It was like, there's nothing we can do here. It's just going to happen. You're going to introduce something new. Everybody's going to run it. Everybody's going to hate it. You know? Big pause. I don't think that was safe for work. Destiny players hoard loot. Remember the backlash of sunsetting? You think they want to play a game where they get sunset every 90 days? How did Lono know my morning routine? Stupid. If there's one thing Bungie's good at, it's PvP matchmaking. Yeah, dude. Yeah, dude. They have such a good track record. They know. They know how to do it. Jiminy Christmas. Lord. Well, chat, I've been sitting here debating y'all. This has been great, by the way. This has been really, really fun. I hope you guys have enjoyed it. You guys have made a lot of good, a lot of good pushback, a lot of good points, and I appreciate it. I'm going to take a quick break. I may take a quick second and pull my my laptop in here. I'd like to try out that Mio game today. Actually, we've got an upload we can run in the evening. I'm not going to force it. I may try that. You know what I'll do? That's a great reason to be in the green room. I may try that with folks in green room. I don't want to force it. We've had a really strong live stream. We've got plenty of uploads that we could run this evening. I think I'd rather do that. I think I'd rather do a live and then do an upload. But I do need a quick break, okay? So don't go anywhere. Hey, if you haven't hit the like button yet on YouTube, do me a quick favor. Take a quick second, unlurk, hit like, say something in the chat. That helps me out. Check your member renewals. We're a little behind pace on the week, but that's typical lately. So I'll be right back. Ah. I made the mistake of introducing my wife to Core Keeper last night. Oh my gosh. It is, yeah. I feel like it's another one of those games where we're going to hit that wall like we did with Satisfactory, but we're enjoying it for now. Leviathaner, thanks for using your Prime sub. Haseo gifted a sub while I was gone as well, taking us to 93 on the week. Thank you very much. We finished Mario Galaxy 2. We tried No Straight Roads, which, here's what's interesting about No Straight Roads. It is very similar to, hang on. No Straight Roads is very similar to the base idea of Hi-Fi Rush. It's just not nearly as good as Hi-Fi Rush. Like, it just doesn't feel very good to play it. We didn't like it. Haseo with another one gets us to 94. This is from the interview that came out today. Okay, so Joseph Cross is saying what here? He says, I mean, the visual psychology you have to onboard going from a purely modular character fantasy, you're a runner. You are a modular cyborg, one of 100 or 1,000, a kit of parts, to a psychology where you're now designing a capital C character with a backstory and a name and everything that comes with it. You're going from designing one vehicle and a fleet of 1,000 to now you're designing the Millennium Falcon. The psychology changes. I think that gets back to your original question, which is like art relating to gameplay and at what point do those collide? And that certainly was a big one. In the case of this production, it was a fairly significant event, and it had to happen incredibly quickly too. So he's basically saying when the game changed to more of a character-driven, right? All right, and we're at 95. Thank you, Haseo. He's trying to tempt somebody to do the 5-bomb. Purple, it's your chance. You haven't won a single one today. Let's pull up the questions. Shadow Dre says, I just played the Pragmata demo twice, and it looks and feels amazing. Really looking forward to the game. Any thoughts or expectations for the game? I think it could be a Capcom sleeper hit. I'm really looking forward to it. Hopefully the girl talking and chiming in doesn't become too grating. I think that's a concern that some people had, that like she's going to end up being kind of like annoying. So, and a 5-bomb comes in from Broken Earth. YouTube takes it again. There it is, the first 100 on the week. We're going to have to play some catch up the rest of the week if you guys want that. We've moved it to Saturday. If you guys like that Gaming News Tonight segment with Madam, we did move it to Saturday for now. It's easier for our schedule, and it did seem like way more of you could tune in. It was a much better turnout, and I'd prefer it to be something that more of you can enjoy. Fridays is a tough sell for us because our schedule is so full. It's probably a tough sell for you guys as well. So that is what we're doing going forward. So if you're like, man, I like those streams with Madam, having her react to gaming news is pretty hysterical, you can help us hit that goal by always making sure to renew your memberships, upgrading memberships, or gifting them. And we have another question here from Jack Garland. After 3 months, about how many concurrent players on Steam would signal a healthy game? It's hard to say because their expectations could be very different. I would think you'd want to be able to hit close to 100K concurrent on Steam that far out. You want to have some semblance of like, I don't know, like a player base that keeps coming back. Does that make sense? Like, I don't, if you drop below that, if you get down into like the 50s and 60,000s, I just don't know. It depends. That could be perfect for Bungie, though. They could have a very, very different goal in mind. They could have a very, very different outlook for their game. They really could. They could be like, oh no, yeah, if we're pulling 50K concurrents, we're fine. You know? Somebody commented on my video about it and said, This just reminds me of Apex Legends. People are saying if you're polishing a turd, this thing's still DOA. Yeah, I still feel like there's a lot of people that just have not been persuaded. We'll never know. I'd like to know what the target for Lightfall and Bungie missed by 45%. Yeah, I don't know what their commercial aspirations were there either. I really don't. So, around 1 o'clock every day, we've been going to Green Room. That's a great reason to be a member. It's a great reason to be in the Discord. So, you guys have a little bit of time. If you want to... Did we hit the 300 likes? Help us hit 300 likes. We only need like 17 more. You can do all of the other things. So, Quarantine Zone just celebrated selling 500,000 copies. So, we have some semblance of an idea of what it takes to be 9th globally, okay, to be where they are. Because, like I said, they had to sell about twice as much as Marathon because they're $20 to be above it globally. They've sold 500,000 copies since launch. That's impressive, to say the least. It's been out for 8 days. I mean, good for them. Oh, wait, hang on. I think I had another question. Food analogy. Rygen says, when you eat pizza every night and a new pizza joint opens, you might try it out, but you're going to go back to your favorite spot unless the new one surpasses it. It's a very, very fair analogy. Banshee says, what's going to happen to the Destiny community now that they are once again being forced to step aside for Marathon? Well, a couple things could happen. I mean, they could obviously take that and not take it well. And be like, really? You're going to make us wait for Destiny content for Marathon? It could make them more antagonistic towards it and angry. And they could say, you know, that they don't want to buy it for those reasons. So there's an optics challenge there that they could certainly face. There are certainly people that could say, oh, I'm thankful that they're doing this because now I can go play Marathon and not have to worry about missing out on stuff going on in Destiny. So... It could go either way. Again, I think making your game appeal to Destiny folks by pulling Destiny folks in with incentives and delaying Destiny content so they're free to come in. I don't know. I think that's a risk. It can create a player-based seesaw. You know? PlayStation's throwing a whole lot more behind this as well, by the way. It's not just a DualSense. It's like the most accessories I think I've ever seen them do for a single game. PlayStation's really turning the heat up for it. So... yeah, it's really high if you look at the pre-order Steam charts in the US. When I look global, it's not quite as high. So that's the other question is that satisfactory to them? Do they have most of their audience in the US? You know. And is that strong enough for them? Strong enough showing. So we need 15 more likes on the video, y'all. Make sure you've done that. It's a ritual every day. It takes a quick second, but it does help us out. I was just kind of scanning the news feeds here at the end of the day. Not really sure what we'll be talking about tomorrow. Thursday will be a pretty easy one. We know what's going on that day. That's the Developer Direct. We'll be covering that. We'll be hanging out in anticipation to that as well. And we should have an upload this evening about something. I've got one about High Guard. I'm stupid and forgot about it. We should have run that one last night. All of a sudden I got hit with the video this morning from Yong Yeah about it, and I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, I made a video about High Guard and I completely forgot to throw it in into the folder for Creature. It was too late. It was this morning. I was like, well, I guess we're gonna have to do it a day after I was thinking about doing it. I completely forgot about it. How many on Steam will refunded after playing just under 2 hours? I mean, there's a handful of concerns there, right? I mean, obviously you could have a lot of people pre-ordering for the Destiny benefits. You could have people pre-ordering for, any variety of reasons, He says in the interview, something sort of weighed on me, not super heavily, but something I've been aware of. You mentioned Concord. Marathon is such a massive project. The studio took a huge risk on this. Oftentimes we felt like we were sort of getting away with something. And I think about that in the big picture. The idea of studios funding unproven, unknown projects for 6 or 8 years for hundreds of millions of dollars, sort of on spec. How much longer are things like this going to exist? I've been a part of a couple of them now. Who came up with the concept? I don't know, Zubair. I feel like Highguard forgot about Highguard. For sure. Yeah. Guys, double check that YouTube's not acting squirrely. That light count's not moving. I'm going to check my own. I usually have to pull it up and make sure. It's like it's not. It's moved by 2. There's no way. There's no way. Make sure it's saving your like. Make sure, because sometimes it doesn't do it. We're getting ready to head to the Discord. Feels more like a you idea. I'll just go with that. It's not original to us. We used to do it for stuff in Destiny, but I don't know if we would call it that. We would just sit around and wait. You know what I mean? For the thing to happen. I don't think we actually gave it a name. FYI, Destiny 2 items, nothing paid. No, those aren't the pre-order incentives, homie. These are the pre-order incentives. Pre-order Marathon and you get USC Echo Type Shell Ghost, Rover Ship, and a Sparrow. It's like totally a thing. Yeah. There's something we both landed on. I brought it up as a reference to waiting on the new content launches and back in the Destiny days. I feel like we did it for GTA as like a whim, and then we were like, why don't we start doing that for something when we know something's going to be happening? And lots of people on the platform do it. It's a real common thing. Okay. As we land a plane here, try to get those 8 more likes. I appreciate you guys so much helping us out with all the various things that we do here. Make sure your notifications are set to all. We've had some people say that they're not getting notified. Don't rely on that, right? Get in the Discord. If you're like, man, I'm not getting notified on stuff, the Discord will always get a ping when we do something, okay? And you're like, I don't really do Discord. It's super easy. Like, it's just an app on your phone. It's a bunch of rooms you can hang out in, and we'll ping you anytime I go live or have new content. So, yeah. So, use the Discord command in the Discord link below, and you can come with us to the next thing, which is the green room, where we kind of discuss what we're doing next. And then I'll be checking out that Memories in Orbit game. I forgot to get the thumbnail created. They got back to me about who I could contact with about getting review access. I can't really do review access now. The game is out. So, yeah. He feels the same way. The Escapist. I don't think it's a he. That says Olivia. Yeah, Olivia is not a he. Marathon being in Steam's top sellers list means absolutely nothing at all. Stop coping. She says, despite initial concerns, this is on topic here. Let's take a look at this. Despite initial concerns that Marathon will become another Concord, the game has become one of the best-selling games on Steam just 3 hours after the pre-orders launch. The thing is, this doesn't really mean anything. The internet has been going crazy about Marathon reaching 5th on Steam's best-selling charts in the U.S., being right behind popular games like Arc Raiders, Counter-Strike 2, Marvel Rivals. However, look at the games underneath Marathon. We have Warframe, sure, but then Quarantine Zone, The Last Check, Tainted Grail, Avatar Frontiers of Pandora. Do you guys believe that these games are super popular and lucrative? Or maybe these are just the only new releases right now that Marathon is an upcoming AAA with no direct rivals. Steam's top-selling chart is ranked by earnings, not units sold. Compared to the indie games that's being released right now, Marathon's pretty pricey. $40 for standard, deluxe for $60. It doesn't appear to be on Steam, but I just couldn't help to point out that there's also a collector's edition for $190 and $300, not to mention this, because what? Anyway, I'm not surprised to see a AAA that sells for over $100 beating something like Quarantine Zone, The Last Check on Steam's best-selling list. It happens almost every AAA title that comes out on a dead month like January. Meanwhile, Marathon can't even surpass Marvel Rivals or Counter-Strike 2, which are free, or the Steam Deck, which is not a game. When you really look at this chart, it's not really that impressive. That's not a good point, though. Counter-Strike 2 and Marvel Rivals generate so much revenue from microtransactions. I would not expect a $40 pre-order to be able to rival those games. So, I think the other points being made are fair and are points that I made. I don't think it's fair to point to Counter-Strike 2 and Rivals. Like, those are insanely popular free-to-play games where people spend lots of money in the micro store every single day. Rivaling those is going to be very difficult. So, all right, let's get out of here. Make sure you guys hit like on the way out. We need 5 more. Thanks for the support on Twitch. Thanks for the support on YouTube. I'll see you guys in the Discord. And if I don't see you in the Discord, do me a favor, actually, on topic. Let's do this. If you're not going to come to the Discord, I've got something for you to watch. I reacted to the runner video, and it's getting some traction. So if you haven't given it a like or a comment or a watch and a comment, and you're not going to come to the Discord, go watch my reaction to the runner video. All right? All right. Take care, y'all. I'll see you later. If I don't see you in the Discord, I'll see you tomorrow.